the Imagine on it.
yeah.
Yeah, that one. We always had vision mixers that did all of those effects, and they all look dreadful, just like they do on that video. You know, they just look absolute tat.
Really selling it here, aren't we?
Oh no, these were like old school, like analog things. You know, they didn't have valves in them.
Back then, anything was good. Anything different was good.
Well,
Videos were new, so it's like...
yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, Godley and Cream certainly did well out of it, anyway.
Yeah, because it was... When did video start? Was it early 80s? When MTV started in 82, was it?
Yeah, I mean...
There were some videos before that, but
Yeah.
there wasn't really anywhere to play them like MTV.
No. Well, other than Top of the Pops.
Yeah.
Tonight on Top of the Pops.
Yeah. When everyone have to go on and mime.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because if
You know what the best part is? The amount of folk I've spoken to and they don't realise that. Like when you're watching stuff when it's cornet and you're like, yeah, they're miming it. It's like, are you sure? It's like, yeah, there's no leads into the guitars. There's no amps. There's no anything.
Nah. That's why I liked
like,
it
yeah.
when like Nirvana took the piss. Do you remember that?
Mm-hmm.
Somebody else did it as well. I can't remember who it was.
Was it Slade? Oh,
Well, the Smiths did quite a lot, didn't they?
Yeah. But it was just blatant, obviously.
Yeah.
But yeah, music videos must have been a bit weird for bands to suddenly have to
Perform.
Well,
You've got to think of a because a lot of bands it was like videos do not necessarily have to be what the lyrics are about, do they? The videos can be like something like what was we've been talking about a video about we've got a song called Save Yourself. I think we're doing a video for it, but it's like the song's about the planet, like saving the planet and stuff like that. But the video we're thinking about doing a person saving themselves from a dangerous situation.
Yeah.
So it's like saving
yeah,
yourself, but in a different way. So
It
it's
can
quite
be completely abstract, can't it?
some bands embrace the videos and some bands don't really know what to do they?
Well, Queen basically invented the music video.
Yeah, they took it to another level, didn't they?
Well, I mean,
you never forget them videos, do you?
No, well, that was 1974. They did Bohemian Rhapsody.
Yeah.
So.
And like Tool, you know the band Tool.
Yeah,
Their videos
yeah.
are like. I'm not even that much of a fan of the band, but I always remember the videos.
Videos
I was like,
Yeah. 9 Inch Nails did great videos.
Yeah, they
as
do
well.
good videos as well.
Yeah.
they can, if they're done right, they can be very impactful. Because especially now with like YouTube and social media and sharing and stuff, if you do a good video, some bands could even have a crap song, but if it's got a good video,
Yeah,
it'll just
absolutely.
get. I'm surprised someone hasn't combined like one of those viral videos with one of their music. You know, like a cow that makes a sound of a fucking car or something.
Well,
And
the
just put that
best-
to a music
Could be
video.
an idea now.
Yeah,
The best way to get views on your video is to have as many people in it as possible, because you guarantee at least those people are going to watch it
Yeah.
and spread it. you
Unless
know.
the people that nobody likes.
Or well, yeah, that's true.
Sorry for just.
Or girls washing cars in bikinis.
Well, yeah.
Look at ZZ Top. It never did them any harm, did it?
Never did 13 stars any harm either.
Well,
You bloody pervert. Sorry.
people called it sexist, and I'm thinking, how can that be sexist? She's the one that's in control. That
The next
whole
video, by the way, is Jack's actually washing the car in a bikini. I would just like to point that out.
Yeah, just to balance it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did offer, but they said, nah.
You're
I've
not,
shaved
the
my
right,
beard down.
not the right build for us, man. You know.
So for people listening, I've got Hoss Thompson, who's the singer of 13 Stars, and I've got Callum Glynn, formerly of Heartbreak Remedy.
Hello.
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 So if people like put this on, like, who's he talking to? Now they know. How's it going, boys?
It's all right. Yourself?
I can't complain. If I sound a bit, I'm a bit tired because we did a gig last night, which we got away from at 2 a.m. and then we went to my house to watch UFC 200, which finished at 6 a.m.
Right.
So,
Where was the gig? Anywhere nice?
Club Rock, Carlisle.
Oh yes. Oh, I've
Played
been there
with
many times.
Hellion Rising. It was cool.
Oh, with Hellion. Oh, they're
it
a great
was,
band. Really nice
Carlisle
bunch.
Target Wrestling.
Right. Yeah.
They
Yeah.
decided to put on some gigs because obviously they're all like their heavy metal
Yeah.
and their rock music, so they decided to start doing some gigs. That was the first one, and they're going to start putting them on one every 3 months, I think. So
Oh, that's cool.
it was really good, actually. It was a good turnout.
Yeah, well, I
good,
mean,
that.
both you guys are great bands and nice bunch of boys.
Well,
so, you know.
well, sometimes when we've played there, it's always been a bit hit and miss. It depends who's. Well, this is
Yeah.
the thing with Target Wrestling; they know how to promote their shows.
Yeah.
I'm not really into wrestling, but I know their shows are always well attended because
Mhm.
they promote them well. They'll also put posters in the town. They don't just rely on social media like most people
No.
do. So they've kind of did the same with their gig, and it was pretty well attended. It was good. It was a good
Well,
crack.
I don't know about you, but I always found when I played Club Rock that if you didn't start till midnight, then that was going to be to do it.
It has to start later.
Mhm.
Like
Yeah.
I think the first band was on at 9, half 9, and each band was playing for 45 minutes. So
Yeah.
I think we were on 11:15 till I think about 20 to 12, and then
Oh,
Hellion
right.
Rising were on till 12 till 1, and that worked out because it was pretty quiet
Yeah.
until then. That's what it's like because people know that
Yeah.
it's the only place to go when it gets later on.
Well, exactly. We used to do the Red Eyes and start at midnight, and then finish at about 2:30, 3.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, it was good fun.
Yeah,
It was in my more heavily drinking days. So that was quite good fun.
I always think about Club Rock. It would be better if it didn't have that stupid pillar in the middle.
Yes,
You played
oh,
there.
Yes,
Yeah, it's a lovely pillar, isn't it?
I like how they put posters on
a
it.
band at the same time,
Yeah.
as well as pull them together.
I've seen some of them try and play in front of it,
Yeah,
but that limits the space that you've
It
got for the
does.
crowd in front of it. But
it also limits your space as well. Because
Well,
if you
yeah.
move backwards, you're going to nut yourself into a pillar.
there was one band who had 2 singers where one of the other singer was just behind the pillar, singing to the pillar.
Yep.
Now that
He
must
did
be
it
a really lonely
Because he
gig.
did it in
That.
sound check, and I thought, oh, he just sound check, so he's just doing it. But no, he did it. I mean, he moved around a little bit, but
Sure, it wasn't like severe stage fright. That
It
was
could
just
have
kind of
been.
kicking it.
he's like, they're hugging it. Thank God for this pillar.
The pillar loves me. I
Yeah.
promise.
Remember when I told you to look at the audience? That was good management, right? Well, no, I mean, you know, when John Amor played there, he played at the other end. He played in the window.
Ah, yeah, I've heard. Yeah, some people do that. Yeah,
Pretending it was from
Which-
the red light district,
yeah.
Well, yeah.
performing in the window.
They still, I can't remember. Are they blacked out still? I can't remember.
Don't know. I saw Blaze Bailey played there, and he was in front or in line with it anyway. Because it just, if the drummer's at the back, it is quite far back, and the lighting at the back's not great. So sometimes
No.
you forget that the drummer's
Bit
even there.
awkward,
The photographers have to go right round the back to the side to get a photo of him.
Loading in's a lot easier at the back though,
Oh, yeah, it's good.
because they've got that nice big corridor,
Mm.
and you kind of it
And
feels
it goes
like,
downhill.
yeah,
You just like wheel your cabs
Yeah.
down.
feels
Except
like
for if they don't
you're,
have wheels, bad recommendation.
Oh.
Yeah.
God,
feels
the
like
first
you're gonna
cab I
come
had
out-
didn't have
yeah.
wheels, and it was really heavy. Now I've got a Mesa Boogie, and it has wheels.
I'm still minus the wheels.
That's why we have a roadie.
No,
He helps.
I don't.
Yeah,
We won't discuss the pay, it's fine. No.
we haven't got to that yet, have we?
don't
Sorry, I
mind
don't
on
want
it.
a lawsuit, it's fine. I'm sorry, I'll take that back.
I don't mind on a 212. It's 412, but then I just put like wheels that should be off a small aircraft on mine.
What are you using at the minute?
I use, well, my favourite cab actually is it was my Artisan 30 amp combo.
Was that the one? Do you remember the one we played at Bootleggers?
Yeah.
That's
The one, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And it used to have an amp in it, and now it doesn't because I rehoused it and sold
Right.
it. But because it's got that gap in the top and the gap in the back, it's really open back.
Yeah.
And I've just swapped out one of the speakers, and wow, it's great. I mean, I put in an Alnico to kind of get a bit more balance,
Yeah.
if you like. And the chiminess against the old pre-roller greenback is just like, it's insane. It's like proper 3-dimensional immersive sound. It's nuts. I'll have
Nice.
to let you have a go on it sometime.
Yeah, yeah, I'll bet for that.
It's good fun.
So, how did 13 Stars get started? And have you been in since day one?
Yes. Well, effectively, yeah, I started it. So
Because I vaguely remember when we first started, when we were Dynamo, you used to play club rock a lot, didn't you? You were
Yeah,
almost
yeah.
like the house band.
we were for a bit, yeah.
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 I remember. Was it a different lineup then?
Yeah, well, it was, yeah. I mean, what happened was I recorded the first couple of albums on my own in my back room.
Right.
And then I wanted to gig them, so I put together the first lineup,
Yeah.
which did all right. You know, we got about a bit. And then Chris, the guitarist, who's sadly no longer with us, he couldn't commit because he was a chef.
Right.
So he sort of bowed out gracefully and said, I can't commit to the amount of gigs you guys want to do.
Yeah.
So then it was a 3-piece. And then the rhythm section got fed up, I guess. After gigging.
What, fed up with you?
Probably, yeah. Yeah, probably. Yeah. So in Manchester, well, after a Manchester gig on a Tuesday night, they said, no, we're not doing it anymore. So, and I had a gig on the Saturday. So I had to put together a lineup between Tuesday and Saturday. And I did, and that lineup stayed in place for 4 years.
Right.
And that was with Matty on bass.
Right.
And then Matty, last year, was it? Last year, probably. He decided he didn't really want to do it anymore. His life was taking him in other directions.
Right.
He certainly couldn't commit to the sort of level of gigging and touring that we want to do.
Yeah.
So again, he bowed out gracefully, and then we got Ryan.
Yeah. He's a good fit. I like mine.
He's a good lad, little fat Freddy. he's a good bloke. His driving is terrifying, but he's a really nice bloke.
Designated driver material there.
Yeah.
If you want to stay awake after the gig,
Yeah.
Yeah, whether you want to or not. Poor bugger.
So what was your first gig? When was your first gig with 13 Stars?
Good question.
Somebody got Facebook?
I think it'll have been.
At least what year was it?
It'll be 2010. I would have thought.
Right.
I think, or 2011, one of the two. And I think the first one we ever did was a Maryport Battle of the Bands.
I was going to say, it must have been out west, was it?
Yeah, it was a Maryport Battle of the Bands. It was for the Blues Festival.
Ah, right, cool.
Which we didn't win.
Sometimes that's a good thing.
Well,
you learn from these things.
Yeah. I seem to remember it went all right, but yeah, it was okay.
So it's good to play with other. If you get put on bills with other bands who are like not necessarily better than you, but like more experienced and been going longer, and they sort of give you a kick up the backside. Because I remember the first time, one of our first gigs outside of Penrith and Carlisle was in Preston, and it was with Massive Wagons.
Yeah.
We didn't really know much about. I didn't really know much about them, and I mean, obviously, we'd only been gone about 6 months, and we thought we were good, and then they started playing. We were like, oh, I was just remember saying to the lads, we've got some work to do, boys. They were just, and this was in 2012, and it was just like, we were just like,
it's a good thing when you get that though, isn't it?
Yeah,
I
think you need it.
Influence.
Some people get pissed off, like some people are like say that as a negative thing, but like, you need it, I think.
You should make it fuel yourself more than anything else.
Yeah, definitely. It's like motivation.
I mean, Jackson was there at that Battle of the Bands. That was the first time he saw us, and probably the first time he met us. So
all right.
Jackson and Matty were there, and then that was kind of their intro to us, and then later on they joined. So
yeah,
that's a bit spooky, isn't it? Really. But no, I totally agree with you. You know, playing with bands that are more experienced than you.
You should be like a sponge. You should just like pay attention.
Absolutely, yeah. Soak it up. Take notice of what they're doing and what's working and what isn't.
Yeah, because we've all come across those people who are arrogant and they think they already think they know everything they need to know, and they sort of like won't watch the other bands or.
Sadly, there's too many of them knocking about, I think.
Yeah, there is.
Well, I mean, don't get me wrong.
But you just got to look long term. Will they still be around in 5 years? Probably not.
Well,
because no one will want to play with them.
Book
them.
Pretty much.
I think sometimes bands have got other commitments, like they need to get home to work or whatever. Or they've got
sometimes it's legitimate, but sometimes they're just.
Oh, so sometimes they're just cunts.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Which is,
By the way, yes, you can swear on this podcast.
Yeah,
you don't need me to go bleep every time. Then that's fine.
No, it's fine. That's the beauty of a podcast.
Yeah,
there's no
it's a good start.
Yeah.
It's an 18+ podcast for anybody that's watching. Yeah.
It is.
Rated R.
It is now.
It's a good Anglo-Saxon word, come on.
It was PG until you said that.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
But no.
Trust me to lower the tone.
So, when did you join Heartbreak Remedy?
Heartbreak, that would have been...
Were you in from the beginning, or...?
Yeah, it was... Believe it or not, I used to be in Bulletproof... Well, I say Bulletproof Rose before it kind of turned into Bulletproof Rose.
What was it called then?
It was... it didn't have a name.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, really good timing.
Project A.
It was... Because Dan is in drumming out with Bulletproof, Dan Mollis. Me and him were in... He was like the first guy he ever started a band with.
Because he's similar age to you? Because he's a bit older than the other guys in the band, isn't he? He's like 27, 28.
It's genuinely really bad. How old is he? 26?
He's 27 or 28, I think he is.
I was close, just 2 years.
Yeah,
fine.
I think he is.
Yeah, because it was, I'd put up, it was in his dad's music shop. I'd put up a sign in the doorway and that saying it was after a band, something like that. Been playing for a couple of years and thought I want to go a step further. So basically me and Dan started up a band. We never took off, but they then formed into another band.
Right.
And then in the end, me and him started playing in covers bands, this, that, next thing. Then it basically went, I was with them for a while, and then the music was going, because they were going like really heavy, they were going more
hard rock, weren't they?
Like hard rock, like punky style.
Kind of like they are now.
And I thought, well, to be honest, if you asked it then, I said, I really wish the best for you, but I said, I'm going to have to leave. Then the next day I thought, well, I'll take some time, like write some stuff, do all that. Then the next morning I got a message from Matty Penn saying, do I want to go and join Heartbreak Remedy? So basically, well, didn't even have a name then. So we all went down and we all just met up for the first time because I knew Steve beforehand, never met Matt properly before. But that was us, start of, what was it? Would have been the end of January 2013.
Yeah, I remember when you guys started.
I think when was it? Would it have been, I think it was March or April.
Did you play Rockmantic?
It was, no, that was the next year. Because I can remember, I think the first gig we did was over in Trillions with Enough's Enough, and I think it was Young Lust as well.
Yeah, I remember that, yeah.
It was them too high. So nice, it was kind of a...
That's not a bad first gig.
No. I was going to say, I was impressed with that. It was a good gig, like. No, so kind of, it all started from there really, and then just unravelled, and then came into contact with yourselves. So I played at your EP launch, wasn't it, at the Brickyard?
Yeah. That was a good one, that one.
No, I must admit, it was a good night there.
Yeah,
Last night of Velvet Star being a band.
Yeah, it was. We didn't know that at the time, though, did we?
No. I didn't. I was talking to them and said, "Oh, it's be great. Can't wait to see you again." And then next day, it come up on Facebook.
Was it the next day?
I must have had the kiss of death that night. But no, so it was. It was good fun with them. And then 3 years down the line, I've decided to step aside, but they're still carrying on strong.
Yeah, I saw them as a 3. Yeah, like I said, I didn't even know you'd left when they showed up at Trillions. I was like, "Where's Callum?"
We promote stuff well.
But they were good, but I still they need to get a replacement, I think. In my opinion, I don't think they should carry on as a 3-piece.
Nah. Well, I must admit, Dad said it himself with Luke. I must admit, he's a lovely lad, and he's a great guitar player as well.
He is a great guitar player, yeah.
It's kind of, I must admit, wish all the best for them. And
yeah, cool. They might hone the sound, I suppose, once I've done a few more gigs as a 3-piece, but for that one, I just felt a bit, especially when the solos, it was lacking a bit of rhythm guitar. Do you know what I mean?
It was always kind of very guitar oriented. Well, not guitar oriented, but it was kind of like.
It just sounded thicker when especially if you twos are playing the same. Play the same rhythm. It sounded really thick. But no, I like those guys. It
was a thick band.
Where did the name come from?
Oh yeah,
I think it was Matty.
It sounds like something you would come up with. Yeah.
Yeah, I can remember it was Matty decided. What was it? Oh no, it was. We'd all been coming up with names. It was before we went down to record our first EP.
Yeah.
So we were all coming up with names. As usual, I couldn't think of one. To be completely honest. I was thinking the whole time, and every single one that I could think of was like the worst band name you could imagine. So it's kind of, after that, I thought I'll step aside and let everybody else chip in. So it was when we went, I think it was about practice before we went down to record it. And I think it was then when Matty had said about it, and we were like, yeah, let's go with that. So then when we were there, Steve was designing the heart that ended up getting permanently tattooed on me.
Yeah.
So nice. He was designing that and everything at that time. So it's kind of I must admit, it was a very inspirational time for me. I think it forced me to step up because everything before from playing covers, you have leeway that you can play with.
Well, you can rely on it, can't you?
Yeah, when it's other stuff that's been written and it's only literally 2 months after you've been together. But no, I must admit, I was impressed. It was very kind of. Like I say, everything with that, it was kind of always bettering yourself the whole time, and it's kind of when you say other bands that you like, stuff like that.
I think if you're driven like that, that's the ideal. That's what you wanted.
Oh, definitely, aye.
So you've been pleasantly surprised when you joined that band, and all that stuff was going on. Yeah.
Well, I must admit, it's been entertaining. Got 2 with the Las Vegas outfit, played Heartbreak last year before Hardcore Superstar. That was definitely something to remember.
That's it on your resume.
Aye.
I still think the parody name's better than the actual name.
Heart Rape Lemony.
No, Arse Rape Lemony.
Arse Rape Lemony. All right, it's changed. I did not come up with that for anybody. Yeah.
It's
for anybody interested.
If you've got immature humour, it's hilarious.
We've all got immature humour.
Yeah.
It's the best way to be.
If you don't have immature behaviour, then there's something wrong with
you
band,
probably shouldn't be in a band.
No, definitely. Yeah, it's the wrong business to be in.
Lyrics are written about.
Yeah. We didn't go into the music industry to be responsible,
or for the money these days.
No, good God, no.
Free drinks if you're lucky, and that's not just water.
Yeah, that's true. That's probably the main thing that's changed, isn't it? It's like you don't really get anybody. No one has those wild fantasies anymore about mansions and cars and private jets. It's like
we just want to make a living. Really, that'd be nice, wouldn't it?
If you do meet anyone who's got that, you can see you later, mate.
I mean, it is what it is. I do think if you're in a really good covers band or a tribute band, you tend to make more money.
Oh, definitely.
But then, can that become a bit soul destroying at some point? I don't know.
Yeah.
I know plenty of people that do that, and good for them. But
people have different reasons why they're doing it.
Well, exactly.
Some people are doing it just for a laugh. Then a tribute band's probably the perfect thing to do.
Yeah,
you get paid quite a bit of money.
Oh, definitely.
Well, I do think though that covers bands and things of that ilk are really, really, really good. Almost like apprenticeship for, because let's face it, when you first start playing guitar, you have no idea about stage dynamics.
Everyone's a tribute act when they start playing, aren't they?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, absolutely. I like that. That's good. Yeah, but you have no idea about how to be in a band. You have no idea about what sound's going to cut, what sound isn't going to cut. You don't even know what's going to cut.
Or writing your own things.
Well, yeah, exactly.
Making sounds, and you go, "Oh, I made that."
Yeah, and I do think that they're an important kind of apprenticeship into stagecraft, if you like, in that sense.
But some venues seem to rely on them too much, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Or promote them too much.
Well, yeah.
And they won't promote main bands that have all original.
Yeah, I try to avoid tribute bands of bands that are still going. I don't mind seeing a tribute band of a band that's no longer with us.
Yeah.
Especially I went to see a Megadeth tribute band, and they were awesome. They were absolutely amazing. But I was like, Megadeth have just put an album that was like back up to it was awesome.
Yeah.
And there's tribute bands that are like making money off them. It was just a bit weird, and it was really busy as well.
It's a very surreal way to kind of earn
it
money
is,
off somebody that's written the songs.
It's when they get dressed up like them. And
Well, they didn't quite do that, but yeah. They did have the drum kit. The drum kit was exactly like one of their famous drummers' drum kits. It was pretty cool, but it was just weird.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, even then, there's plenty of bands out there that are, at the risk of saying something unpopular, there's plenty of bands out there that are almost, in some respects, tribute bands to themselves anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, Axel DC,
Well,
I mean...
that wasn't, to be fair, I would say that wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be.
Well, no, but at the same time, when you've already had to replace your singer once and you found the perfect replacement...
And your rhythm guitar player is gone.
Who's arguably the main songwriter in the band, and your drummer's in the nick.
They should have just called it quits after Rock or Bust, I think.
Yeah.
That was the last one, wasn't it?
Yeah. I thought that was the last two they were actually doing. And
it should have. In retrospect, it should have been.
Well, I mean, would it have hurt? Bow out gracefully.
Because Malcolm was still... He did that one, didn't he?
Yeah.
And that was... They should have just...
Because at the end of the day, musicians never retire. Really, we just, don't do anything for a while or we die.
Yeah.
Nobody would have anything, any problem with, Angus in 3 years' time coming back and doing a solo project with loads of different singers or whatever. It's just that when you're trying to package it into that, blister pack that says AC/DC, and there's some of the key features of that band that are no longer there. It kind of becomes something else.
Yeah, having said that, if I'd already bought my ticket and then the whole thing happened and suddenly it was Axel, I still would have went, I think.
It sounds really bad. When I was watching it and I thought, what was it? It was a video somebody did of Riff Raff, and it was all the old Bon Scott era stuff that I'd never heard them play live, anything like that. I wish I'd seen them, but I hadn't. But it was when I was watching that and I thought, when you hear Brian Johnson trying to do it compared to Axel, no disrespect to any Brian Johnson fans out there, because I love him, but it's kind of a thought. It was the only thing that I did think Axel had that kind of...
He's probably got a bit of a better range for that.
But he had that really high end that he could do, like the Bon Scott stuff.
He is a self-confessed AC/DC fan. I think he said at one point, back in the day, he was in a AC/DC tribute band.
Yeah,
and now he is again.
Rings a bell.
He is again,
The ultimate DC tribute band in Sydney.
But what annoyed me about him is he did an interview where he was addressing the AC/DC fans saying, I'm going to be on time and I'm going to be all this. So that he's like, he was trying to give utmost respect to their fans, but I was thinking, why can't he do that to his own fans? To Guns N' Roses fans.
Well,
for years.
I think that's kind of started shaping into place now. I'm like...
But to be fair, the Guns N' Roses tour's kicked off now and they've been on time. So he seems to have got his shit together, to be fair.
Well, I mean,
It's taken him 25 years to get round to sorting himself out, but he's got there.
We can all go through difficult times, though, and I do think, if you've got a lot of money feeding your ego... and
a lot of people feeding your ego as well.
People, yeah, because let's face it...
He did have that.
As well, as soon as you've got money, you've got people that'll pander to you.
They'll just tell you what you want to hear, which is a horrific... That's like almost like career suicide.
Pretty much.
People that always tell you yes to everything, all the time. And
if you've got people saying, no, you're perfectly reasonable being 4 hours late, and you've surrounded yourself with all those people, and you're in a bit of a weird place, and you've suddenly found yourselves with a shit ton of money, it's not difficult to understand why he might have behaved the way he has. I'm not justifying it.
But when you get to that point where they're not doing anything for money now.
Well, they don't need it, do they?
No, so... I don't know.
I mean,
They could have cancelled that whole tour, but he's kind of helped them out, I suppose. It wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be, so I've come down from a high horse on that one. I was like outraged at first, but when I saw it, I thought it wasn't as bad, and people seem to enjoy it.
Well, it's a good fit, isn't it?
There was a lot of people who were sceptical or went who said it was awesome.
Well, it's a good fit.
Most people, to be fair.
It's a good fit. It's just that it's not AC/DC.
No. You basically pay. Well, before the Axel thing, you were paying £85 to see Angus.
Yeah. And it's it's like Queen and Adam Lambert. It's not Queen.
No, that was the novelty of that was it had been so long since any Queen had done any gigs that people were interested in it.
Yeah. So. But I mean, they did it with Paul Rodgers first.
Yeah.
And then, even then, as soon as you take out two of the key members of the band, John Deacon being the unsung hero of that band, in some respects.
The most underrated bass player ever, I think.
Sensational.
Yeah.
And one of the most underrated songwriters as well.
It's the balance of like having someone who can perform but play perfectly, and he can play perfectly. He doesn't really perform, but I'd rather have someone who can just hit every note perfectly and just rely on them to do what they need to do, even though they just sort of sit at the back of the stage and just play.
It was no worse than Bill Wyman, was he?
Let's be honest, that's true. Yeah,
at least he chucked in a spin every now and then. But as soon as you take two members out of a band that's only a 4-piece band, I mean, can you call that? It's the same with Kiss, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, at least
there's a lot of that.
I mean, at least Kiss did Sonic Boom, which was a great album. But even then, would I still rather see Ace Frehley there? Of course I would.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we'd all rather see the original lineups of bands, but sometimes it's like, would you rather the band just stops, or would you rather they carry on slightly differently? It's like, some bands it works out, some bands it doesn't.
Trouble is,
until they do it, you don't know.
Well, and some bands have worked out great from carrying on, like Deep Purple. By the time they got to Coverdale Glen Hughes,
sometimes you think they should just, if there's two of them left, they should start a new band.
Yeah, and split off and do something.
Still play some of the old material, but start afresh, and then takes that pressure off you of trying to keep that brand going. It's something new, so everyone knows that.
Well, that's what John Lord always said, wasn't it? The Mark III stuff in Purple was brilliant, but not really Deep Purple.
No, they should have.
Which is fine, because they're amazing albums, but it does get a bit boring every time you have to go, Deep Purple Mark III, and people go, who? And you go, you remember when David Coverdale and Glenn Hughes joined? Maybe.
Yeah.
And you say mistreating, okay, right, got you, yeah.
So what's your plan for the future music-wise then?
For the future of music? At the minute, I've been, and this sounds really bad, I'm not plugging Apple here by any means, just so you know, if you want to endorse me, that's fine, I don't complain. At the minute, kind of just been throwing around ideas, because for the last couple of years, to be honest with you, because I wrote a couple of songs for Heartbreak, and then after that, to be honest, Matty was up front and she said, I can't work with you, I'll work with Luke, so I'm fair enough.
What, songwriting-wise?
Yeah.
Oh, right,
so it was kind of thought, fair enough, it's good with me. So basically I was kind of like on the back burner and just kind of like, it is the only thing, and I don't mean it any respect to anyone, when you're not playing stuff that you've written or had
contributed to.
When the main thing you're doing is probably like playing a solo that you've written.
Yeah.
Or you're like adding a little fiddle onto the end of it.
So you basically get given a song, basically.
Yeah, and it's kind of like, I don't get it wrong, because I love doing.
Some people like doing that, and some people don't. You're obviously a person, you want to be involved in it.
Like, you get kind of fed up with it, don't you?
Yeah, that's fair enough. So you did the right thing then. I think we briefly had this conversation, saying you've got to be happy, haven't you? What are you doing?
Oh, definitely. So I'm kind of at the minute throwing around ideas, recording them on my phone. So it's not worth nicking if anybody wants to, but I wouldn't recommend it. But now, so just kind of like writing stuff at the minute, and then hopefully, since I've got some good news, I'm hoping maybe for summer next year. Fingers crossed. If not, it might take longer, but I don't want to rush and put someone out that isn't quite
have a new band?
Be. Yeah, I'm hoping so. So kind of, I thought, if I get the songs written, maybe see about recording something like that.
Get some demos so you can give to people to potentially join the band. Yeah,
and then do that. Because I think there's nothing worse.
It's hard to explain, isn't it?
Yeah.
It doesn't really get you don't really get the point across, do you? With words, it's very hard.
And doing that,
if you give them a demo, they can kind of get the idea of what you're going for.
And then they can either turn around and say that's absolutely crap, and I don't want anything to do with you, or they can say, maybe.
It saves a lot of time.
It
cuts past all that. They can either go yes or no. So
it saves all.
But at the end of the day, you want someone who's gonna, if you're doing it and it's your stuff, you want them to either say yes or no.
Oh, definitely, and do that. At least that way, then you give folks.
You end up with the right people, then, don't you?
Definitely, aye.
Cool.
So that's hopefully, fingers crossed, that'll be next year, and I might even get my lungs into shape and actually start singing.
I don't think I've ever heard you sing before. Did you used to do backing vocals?
I used to back in. I did up until August, and then I had problems with my neck, and then.
Oh right.
So it's all been kind of from there till now, and then the weekend I've got good news, so everything's all cleared up with that. So I can finally start pushing myself.
Nice one.
No excuses to hide behind now.
Yeah, you've done it now.
Yeah, no shying away with mum and sister. Are like, oh yeah, we've never heard you sing. I'm like, yeah, yeah. It's probably a good reason for that at the minute. Yeah. By the way, I'm not going to sing tonight, just in case you've known.
Oh, I was going to my next question.
Can't we get
only
Delilah?
if it's Mariah Carey then.
You can start communicating with dolphins.
No, I was going to say I fancy doing more like Christina Aguilera sort of tunes. Be the next Justin Bieber.
What, be the most hated man in the world?
Yeah. Oh no, I don't know. I don't think I'll be able to top that. It's maybe second most hated.
Yeah,
person.
maybe. That's all right. Yeah.
He's got a lot of money though, hasn't he?
So what would your ideal kind of band be?
Ideal band would be, to be honest, anything. It's kind of weird 'cause I don't. With everything that I'm writing at the minute, it's all in different like genres and everything that. Yeah. It's just kind of. I never want to be something that can be pigeonholed.
Yeah, definitely.
But at the same time, you don't want to have a band where people have egos.
Also,
it isn't worth it.
Also, you can't be too vague because then no one will really get what you're doing. Cause
it's
too,
kind of, that's the thing with
when
me.
People say, what's your band like? And they go, we're sort of rock, blues, jazz, fusion.
Do a bit of pop funk in the
middle and it's like, because music fans generally have certain things that they like. So if you've got to fall into one of them for them to sort of
and do that.
Come to you, I suppose.
No, so I'm kind of hoping, in a way, the strange way that I've been kind of describing it at the minute, whether or not it actually sounds anything like that is a completely different matter of fact. But I'm kind of, two biggest kind of bands at the minute that are influencing us is The Cult, and then, I don't know, kind of like Blackstone Cherries, where stuff's a bit heavier. It's not kind of...
Very melodic.
I don't mean it nastily, but it's too much kind of like pansy rock where it's like, oh, we're all really happy, we love doing this, we love doing that. But you're just kind of like, come on, everybody wants to like have a laugh and a joke now and then, but you just want to kind of have something that's a bit more
serious,
heavy and serious.
Yeah.
So kind of not being like, I sound like I'm being really dark and horrible.
No,
I want to talk about saving the world. I'm not after becoming a preacher or anything like that, but just kind of something a bit more kind of serious and a bit heavier, hopefully.
Because I think it's important to be in a band that is your ideal kind of music. I think because that's why eventually you leave. If it's not, because it can take a while to find that out. Like, would you say you're in your ideal band?
Yeah.
Playing your preferred kind of music.
Yeah.
So that's how I am now.
Yeah.
It's taken a while to get there, but
I mean, the thing is with us is we never had any preconception of trying to fit a certain style. We just did what we wrote, really. And if we thought it was good enough to perform, then it was good enough to try out. And if it was good enough to try out and people liked it, then it was good enough to record and carry on.
Yeah, I think a lot has to do with who else is in your band as well. If you get the right lineup and you're all on the same page, then it kind of helps a lot.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, Jax is my right hand man. He is the Keith to my Mick, if you like. I mean, he is the ears. Yeah. And he's the gel.
You're not going to start wearing jumpsuits, are you? Just to be like...
No.
Sorry, I just had to throw that one out.
I think there would be too many problems. Dry cleaning bills would be awful. No, and then, we've got a really solid, excellent, very melodic and very interesting rhythm section. So, and we're all experimenting all the time and we're all trying to bring different things. I mean, it's mainly me that writes the material, but then we're all trying things as we're rehearsing it and figuring out different ways of doing things and arrangements and little bits. Like Jackson likes to put in little bits and bobs here and there, and nothing huge, nothing that's going to detract from the song, but something that actually enhances it. Yeah, exactly.
Like
just little things.
Like an extra layer in a
I mean, it's just something that just keeps something ticking along, and then he's writing his own stuff as well, which is really, really good quality stuff. And then we've always co-written bits and bobs together. Yeah. So, and then Rye, I'm hoping at some point we'll write something. Yeah. He's got some great ideas, and then Andy will maybe create some drum orchestral piece at some point. I don't know. He could certainly do it.
Is he still dressing smartly for gigs with his blazer and his shirt?
Yeah, reasonably. Yeah. That's just Andy.
I don't know how he can wear that and actually like drum at the same time.
Well,
No.
he does tend to take quite a lot of things off before he goes on stage. You know, he will.
Yeah.
All right.
He will
You can only
quite.
see, it's a good job you only see the top half.
Secretly he wears a mankini underneath.
Yeah.
He does tend to strip back to just a waistcoat for gigs sometimes. I mean, you know, I believe he's wearing trousers. I don't know. I'm
never
reliably informed.
Yeah, you never get to see. So.
No, he gets to watch my ass all the time. So you got to feel sorry for that guy, right? You know.
But I think the first was that Bootleggers gig the first time we played together on the same
I
bill?
think it was. Yeah, I mean, you'd met Andy in the Wheat Sheaf, hadn't you?
Yeah, I think we had,
Yeah.
And he was at another gig as well. We played in Workington. He just showed up at a gig, but he looked completely different because his hair was long and he wasn't wearing the waistcoat. He was just wearing normal clothes. And I was like, Steve was talking to him for ages, and I was like, I recognise that guy. But I can't think where he was. And it wasn't until the next day Steve just mentioned his name. I was like, that's who it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why didn't you recognise it?
Well, he looks really different when he's growing his hair again now.
Right. Yeah.
So now he's kind of looking like he's kind of looking a bit like John Sebastian, you know. I mean that in a good way. John Sebastian is a cool guy, but yeah, like he's looking a bit John Sebastianish at the moment. Every time I see him, he looks slightly different. You know, like at one point I thought he looked like Paul Dano from War and Peace that was on recently.
Yeah.
And then the next week he looked like, you know, John Sebastian, and then the next week he looks like somebody else. Really chameleon kind of look, but always steady as hell on the drums.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, he's
He's a good drummer.
Oh, he's an incredible drummer. You know, really incredible. And sometimes I feel kind of bad because I don't actually think, in some ways, he doesn't get the opportunity to show what he can do sometimes. You know, because he's kind of restricted by the songs, if you like.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, I suppose that he then in the future has the ability to sort of come up with ideas.
well, hopefully,
himself, I
yeah.
suppose.
Yeah, hopefully, yeah. I mean, we always give him the drum solo, which is always fun.
Oh
you know.
yes, yeah.
Which we wrote as a little star piece for him, you know. But it worked out well.
Where did the name come from?
Came from well, I've got a yeah, I saw the T-shirt, man.
I'm all right there.
Yeah. Suck up. No, I've always been fascinated by history. You know, I always think, you know, if you don't know where you're coming from, you're never going to know where you're going to, right?
True that.
And I was really interested, and I still am really interested in American history. And at the time, I was sort of writing the first album and what have you. I was very into my revolutionary sort of American history. And I loved that first flag, which was 13 stars. You know, in a circle with the 13 states, and then there's the territories.
Yeah.
And I love that idea of kind of revolting against, you know, kind of enforced pigeonholing, if you like, and putting people in their place. You know, I always loved the old, you know, the later Beatles albums, the early Queen albums, you know, the Led Zeppelin albums, where what do Led Zeppelin sound like? I can't give you an answer to that.
No, that's true.
They other than magnificent,
Yeah.
you know, they've got so many different strings to their bows, and it makes all those albums interesting because they're so diverse.
Yeah.
And they're not kind of going, well, we've got to keep going on those train tracks because if we veer off, it's unknown territory.
Yeah.
They just went, fuck it.
Just do whatever
Off
we
we
want to
go.
do. Yeah, I think that's the best way to be.
Well, you certainly develop more interesting songs that way.
Yeah.
Whether or not it's the actual song that you develop straight away when you go that way,
Yeah.
maybe not. But you know, when you go up,
You're
to
certainly
there
not
and
going to
you
repeat
come right
yourself.
back, yeah.
Which is,
You know, you can really develop interesting things. I mean, you know, like Trampled Underfoot. You know, that's what a belting song. You know what I mean? And it's just funktastic.
Yeah.
But you put that next to, you know, Babe, I'm Gonna Leave You. It could almost be two completely different bands, couldn't it?
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know?
yeah.
So yeah, the whole idea was that kind of, as I saw it, rightly or wrongly at that time, you know, the music industry seemed to me to be trying to put everything and everybody in these neat little boxes that were very easy to sell.
Certainly, mainstream does that. Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, I think
that's what they rely on.
Well, even beyond that, I think, you know, at that time, rightly or wrongly, to me, you know, it looked like, well, you're pop ska punk, So we're going to put you in pop ska punk
with all these other bands.
Yeah, blister pack with these guys, and
Yeah.
we'll put that on the shelf, and it'll sell because it says pop ska punk.
Yeah.
Which, whatever. I don't know the business model involved, but to me, limiting yourself to what you can write and to what you can perform and to what you can bring to the world.
I suppose
really boring
depending on what
thing.
you write decides whether you can be pigeonholed, I suppose. So if you are diverse, then they can't do that.
Well,
If you get to a certain point, they just can't.
Even then, though, they'll still, there would be the pressure, though, to kind of write in that particular vein, Oh, you can't do that because it's not this, and it, rightly or wrongly, I just saw that. To me, that's what the industry was doing at the time, and I just didn't want any part of that, really.
I would just ignore it.
Mm-hmm.
Just do what you want to do.
Well, that's what I did.
Yeah, it's the best way. It's the best way to be.
Well, I mean, the thing is that at the time I had a theory, which was that if you're making diverse albums and performing diverse sets, then that's bound to be more interesting for an audience than 45 minutes of something which is virtually the same throughout.
Exactly. Yeah, I agree.
And that was the theory I had at the time, and I still buy into that. I still think that's the case. If you can take it right down to an acoustic guitar and a voice, and then take it right back up to a full-throated heavy rock, punch, and you can do that, in a way that's organic and makes sense. Yeah. That's bound to be more interesting.
Yeah, it's better for a paying audience as well, isn't it? See,
exactly.
It makes a show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what music's always been. Music is about, well, to me anyway, to me music's about expressing emotions. It's arguably the most universally understandable emotive art form.
Yeah.
Right? You can play somebody in China, the Beach Boys, and they get it straight away.
Yeah.
They might not necessarily understand the words, but they understand the music.
Yeah.
And if you've got 6 people all saying different things in any other form of art, it just sounds like noise. But if you get it in perfect harmony, then it sounds like something else completely different. It sounds perfect and beautiful.
It's something we constantly try to work on, is thinking of it as a show. It's not just a gig. It's not just a band playing a set of songs. It's like, how do some songs go from one to the other? Yeah. Bit of talking, interaction with the crowd, and all that sort of stuff. And
well, it's like a symphony, isn't it? In a way, you've got the big opening, and then it'll come down, and then it'll go up, and then it'll come down, and it'll go up again, and it's all about light and shade, and that's what all art form is, really. Yeah. Even a painting or a photograph or a film is about light and shade. Yeah. Whether it's obviously starkly, light and shade, like in an old black and white film noir or something. It's all about those different elements that are showing the different sides of human beings and the emotive forces that go to drive us. If that sounds reasonable.
We always have the mindset of, like, we want people to go away feeling that they've got value for money.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Or talking about it the next day kind
of
thing.
It's that thing, because otherwise, if you're just one of them bands where it's like, it's not disrespectful to anybody, but it's kind of, if you're a band where it's just kind of, you turn up to a gig and you're like, oh, I've come from work, I've had to work hard all day. Yeah. And it's like, oh, I'm not going to put all the effort in. You're like, well, everybody else says all in a band all works. Like, the amount of times you've gone to gigs and you literally, like myself, I'd be finishing work, say, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and you'd literally be out, you'd be getting back in at 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning, sometimes even later.
And you got work,
and I'd be up again at 5:30 next morning for work. And you kind of like, the thing is, at the end of it, if you have that dedication and you want to get up on stage and play music and you want to do something different, fair enough, not everybody's going to like it, because nobody ever will. And I think if they did, it'd be incredibly boring place. Yeah. But it's kind of, if you don't give yourself that massive kick in the arse that sometimes it takes, and think, hang on a minute, you've actually lucky to be doing it. Yeah. Then it's kind of, definitely. I think that's where I've seen a lot of bands recently, especially where they're just kind of tons of folk at gigs, and then you just suddenly it starts dropping lower and lower.
Just going through the motions.
And then when you basically start off somewhere really high up on a bill, and you're like, hang on a minute, you started up there, and now you're currently like second band on. Yeah. You kind of like, if that starts happening, you have to take notice, because if not, you're just going to go by the wayside.
Yeah, I've noticed that some bands, they have you've seen them better, and they've played a really average show, and you know they can do better, and like you talk to them and they're all like, "Oh, I've had a really shit week at work," or
That should
something
drive you.
going on. But I'm thinking if that was me, I'd be really looking forward to the gig to sort of get that out of
get
like,
the stress, the anger, everything out.
But they were like, let it affect their playing, and I was like, well, that doesn't sound right.
It's kind of like emotion should play a part of it, dependent on the song. Obviously, if some songs are just like middle of the road, you don't have to put all your emotion into it. But it's kind of like you say, let your emotions out. Don't let it kind of like hunker up and really get to you. If you do, it's not
absolutely.
good. Whether it's playing in your bedroom, listening to music, or whether it's on stage, it's kind of like if you do that, it's kind of like a stress relief in a way.
Yeah, but if you seriously want to do that as a career, which is like
it's the ultimate.
These days, that's very hard to achieve. But then you should take all your gigs as a sort of a step further.
Yeah.
Like, and we always try and put. Well, we've had people say to us like, if we've some gigs where it's been a bit at last minute, or we got added to it, or the attendance hasn't been great, but people have come up and said to us, "You guys played like you were playing to 10,000 people," and I was like, "Well, we just always do the same thing." Yeah. I just try and ignore.
It doesn't matter whether it's like 10 folk or 1,000, 10,000.
Yeah.
Kind of, it's like you say, if you don't show up ready to just go right, balls to the wall. That's it. That's what we're doing.
Yeah.
Love it or hate it.
Well, the business side of me thinks that if there was 10 people, if you amaze those 10 people, that's still 10 people could buy your CD or a T-shirt.
Then you've got 10 more fans that'll next time you're around,
exactly.
it's like, go and see them again.
Tell their friends and stuff. So it's
we're all human beings. We can all have a tiring day, but at the end of the day, as soon as you've agreed to do a gig, whether you paid for it or not, as soon as you agree to do a gig, you've entered into a contract with the crowd that's going to turn up to that, which says you deliver. Right?
Yeah.
You give them 110%. Because if you give them anything less, you're doing them a disservice.
Oh, I don't agree with any 110% bollocks. It's 100%. You can't go past 100%. If you've got anything left to give, then you weren't given 100% in the first place.
Yeah.
Well,
that's just my philosophy on it.
All right, maths teacher.
You've got to
in
be
common parlance, it's 110%. But anyway, regardless, it's the point is that you need to.
You've got to give it all, haven't you?
Yeah, and you've got to deliver. And whether or not you're knackered or not, it really doesn't matter because get a coffee down your neck before you go on and give it your all.
Exactly.
And if you're grumpy because something's happened at work, if you've split up with your girlfriend, split with your boyfriend, anything's happened,
you should forget about that time while you're on stage.
Oh yeah, man. Check your baggage.
If you're enjoying it and that's like your passion, then you should. They shouldn't be hard to do that.
Either that or turn that if it's anger that you're feeling, and just like give it.
Turn it into the performance. Yeah.
Tonight I didn't used to scream, but tonight I might actually scream just to kind of give it my all, just get the anger release out.
Well, sometimes that's exactly what you need. Let's face it. To be a musician, you got to be
a bit of a nutter,
a bit of a fuck up, right?
Yeah.
And the whole point is that to get that release, you need to be on a stage in front of however many people, whether that's 3, 4, or whatever. It doesn't really matter, or whether it's 3,000 or 4,000. The point is that you need to do that to get the emotive release, and then hopefully the crowd will enjoy that.
Yeah.
Because they'll see that you're giving it your all, and it's catchy, and they like it, or whatever else. And if you're not giving it your all,
you get bottles thrown at you.
Well, you're in the wrong job.
Yeah. Then why are you doing it?
Yeah.
Because it's like you're not getting paid personally per se from it. So
no,
why
absolutely.
would you put so much time and effort into it and sacrifice family stuff that you have to miss out on, friends stuff to do it if you're not enjoying it?
Yeah.
Money
or
hours and hours and hours of your time. Which again is one of those things that it's one of those things that annoys me. The whole if you do this gig, it'll be really good exposure. Do you know what? Do you know what else would be really good exposure? 200 quid in my back pocket. That'd be really good exposure.
Or unless the exposure can get turned into, this exposure is going to pay for your food. There you go.
Yeah.
Oh, but no, but then it's all like, it's only half an hour of your time. It's like, well, no, hang on a minute. Hang on a minute, right? It's not just half hour of my time. It's all those years and years and years of developing myself as a player, as a musician, as a songwriter, as a singer, whatever else. I didn't just magically pop up in, just 2 minutes before that half an hour and could do exactly what I do now.
Did you not?
No.
Sorry, it's only me then, sorry.
Oh, Cal.
Yeah. And you wonder why I've left Heartbreak. The talent ran out.
The point is, you got to... People need to recognise that there is an enormous amount of work in what we do. And I think a lot of people do.
Yeah.
I just think that some people don't. And you know, when they're faced with the stark reality of how unglamorous it is being in a band,
Yeah.
then they're kind of shocked.
It's all about
you know?
perception. Like people, like bands that who we always idolise. Like you couldn't imagine. You know they don't have a day job. That's just what they do. So you kind of need to come across as that as well to whoever you're playing to. Like like people, some bands like it's always like they're there to do a show, then they're off.
Yeah,
They almost they don't seem like superstars. Or that's the kind of image you need to be going for. Like as if. I don't know, like things like people have phones in their pockets. You can see the phone in their pocket, and they've still got a jacket on, or just I don't know, little things where it's like, would you imagine like Miles Kennedy doing that? You know, he always has the gig attire, and then you'll see him off stage, and he'll have got changed.
Or somebody lifts the phone out halfway through to check what time it is.
Well, yeah, lots of little things that are like, I don't know, some people don't think about.
They should put clocks on all stages.
In all fairness, I will say this, in all fairness to the Brickyard, last time I was at the Brickyard, there was a massive clock on the wall.
Yeah.
By the way, I did just say clock. For anybody that's thinking I said anything else, I said clock.
Yeah, no, I think it's in their best interest, because then it helps them keep keep on time, and they keep
Absolutely.
on time.
Nothing worse than going, how are we doing for time?
Yeah, ask the sound guy who you can't see or hear.
Yeah, who's possibly not even paying attention.
Yeah,
you know.
he's out the back having a fag.
Or even better, be one of them bands that turns up, 10 minutes after they're supposed to go on. And then you're literally going on stage to fill their slot, and then it's like, oh no, we're actually here. We
could have a separate episode on professionalism in music.
Tardiness is bad.
Especially when you're trying to be professional and you just come across other bands and you just think, they'll never last. That's what I always think.
Once the stage manager and the sound guy twig onto it, next time they say you're in for trouble.
You just won't get booked.
No.
You just, because
at the end of the day, word spreads quickly. Yeah, especially with the UK, because it's
even if you were good.
Yeah.
I just think they don't want to work with people who are dickheads who make their life hard. They want to put bands on, and they want the bands to do what they're supposed to do and get out of the way.
You show up, you play, you get your gear on and off stage on time, and that's it. You set away.
Yeah, I mean we've kind of got used to just sometimes it'll say, "Do you need a sound?" If we're not headlining or for like main support, we'll just let's have a line check. Yeah, it's just like we just kind of got used to it.
It doesn't need the sound check all the time, does it? No. You kind of like fair enough. There's like fine twigs, but. Let's be honest, the amount of times it's really kind of bad, isn't it? Yeah.
What levels you need to be at, and just it's just easier.
I mean, sometimes you end up sound checking for the headliner, which is interesting. Yeah. Which is fine. It's one of those things. It just depends on how long you've got. I mean, if you've arrived at a venue because you've been told you've got to be there for 2:30 or something, and you're not on till 9:30.
Yeah.
Then there's plenty of time to set up and plenty of time for everybody to get comfy in the space, and
that's it. Yeah.
But then again, sound checks are a load of shit anyway, because the fucking room doesn't sound anything like it does when it's empty.
No. It's totally different.
And let's be honest as well, the finest little tweaks that you can make, everything like that, once that starts and the PA is going out front and you've got your sound off stage. And in the mix of it as well, when folk are talking all the way through a gig, it is going to mess up with the sound, so you kind of like...
People talk through your gigs?
Some of them.
Really?
You've been playing the wrong gigs.
That is genuinely one thing that you do know. If somebody's talking all the way through a song and the crowd is louder talking than what you are on stage playing,
you can't...
Cut the song. Yeah. It's not worth it. Cut the song. Yeah, move on to the next one. Snap, that's it.
I once saw Fish, actually, in Maryport, actually, lay down the law to a crowd because it had a particularly vocal woman in it who was just nattering through the entire thing. There was a lot of people there who actually wanted to hear what he was saying and what he was singing, and he just laid down the law, and he basically just said to her, "Look, I talk, you listen."
Was there a brawl that ensued after that?
No. Surprisingly not. It was cold out, I admit. Some people didn't want to go out.
That's probably why. If you do it on a warm night, there's going to be a boss that can get kicked outside.
He's a big man, you would not want to mess with Fish. Honestly, he's a big guy. He's a lovely guy, really, real gentleman. But I wouldn't ever want to piss the guy off.
No. So what have been some of your favourite gigs that you've had?
Well, I think we did Cock Rock one year that I really enjoyed.
That's Cockermouth Rock Festival, for people who don't know.
Yes.
Now officially known as Northbound
Festival now. Don't get the wrong idea.
Yeah.
Soulfest I thoroughly enjoyed when we did that. That was a really good one.
I've never even been to Soulfest.
Oh, it's cool, man. It's really good.
It's really changed, but it's the bar stage especially is really good in there.
That's what we were doing. Yeah, I like Soulfest. It's got a really cool vibe to it. And then, Beyond that, I mean, every gig is great. Every time we get out together and we can perform together. I mean, obviously there's some highlights, like stuff in Europe was pretty amazing.
I was going to ask you about that. Yeah. Where did you play?
Well, we did the first time out because we did like the support slot with the choir boys.
That was it. Yeah.
And we did Switzerland, a gig in Munich, and then we did North Italy. And then we had like a weekender where we did Flanders on the Friday, and then we did Ibiza on the Sunday, and then we flew back.
Yeah.
I just love playing Europe.
Yeah, I do too. How were you received out there then? Because I find it very different.
Oh, they love it. They love it. They're so appreciative.
Yeah.
And they're a different sort of crowd, I think.
Yeah. I kind of think I noticed that like some bands, that's what it's kind of a telltale sign. Like I keep using Annihilator as the example of most bands. They have a massive European tour. It's got like 3 months, but there's only 8 dates in the UK. The rest's all in Europe, and there's probably a reason for that.
Yeah. Well, it's because Europe's massive for a start. But
also for Annihilator, it was the difference in size of venues that they were playing. Over here, it was like
there's
500 to 1,000. But when
they
got out to Europe, it was like 5,000, 10,000, 12,000.
Yeah.
It was just the massive difference.
I mean, Switzerland was incredible. To be honest with you, when we did the Choir Boys tour, they really looked after us anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, they really, really looked after us.
Yeah.
Seldom have I spent, 10 days around musicians other than my own guys that were so genuine and kind and considerate.
Yeah.
Particularly, because they didn't need to be. We were just a sport band, They didn't need to
look after you, though, don't they?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They really, really looked after us, And they were an amazing bunch of guys. And I like to think that, I like to call them friends now.
Yeah, that's cool.
We were seeing things that you never thought you'd ever see. Like I don't know if you've ever done like Switzerland or into Germany or that sort of way, but
not yet, no.
Well, when you go on the Channel. And then you've got to go through the middle of France.
That's Channel Tunnel for anybody that wants to know.
Yeah, Channel.
Yeah, Channel.
So you go through.
I remember that one. He just coined a new one.
Channel.
Really? Have I just created that? I thought that was common parlance. Anyway, so you go through the middle of France for like 6 hours, and you just keep seeing signs like Somme and World War I battlefields, and you're thinking. What the fuck were they fighting over? This is just flat. I mean, I'm sure it's great farmland or anything, but to look at, it's not that interesting. And then out of nowhere, the Alps start rising up on the horizon.
Yeah.
And then you find yourself, we found ourselves in Switzerland, and that was just glorious. I mean, what a beautiful, beautiful country. And the people there were incredibly kind all the time. We went to this the first place we went to was oh God, what was it called? Schaffhausen. Little town called Schaffhausen. That had this great castle on the hill, and it was just stunning, And then again, you're crossing the Alps and you're going into Munich, and then you come back through Germany into Austria, into Italy, and you're seeing all these things that you just never thought you'd see.
Or if you do see them, you think it's usually when you're on holiday.
Yeah,
you think, I'm here with my band. This is
very surreal.
Awesome.
Well, yeah, because it's like the thing is,
our music has brought us here. That's
absolutely. And the other great thing is, it doesn't get boring because you're constantly moving.
Yeah, definitely.
So if you really want to look at something, you need to stop.
Yeah, it's not like traveling down the M6, is it? It's
no.
more
Let's face it, it's not very scenic, is it? Once you've gone down it about 3 times, you kind of
it's
like,
I mean, I got to see Neuschwanstein Castle, which I'd always wanted to go and visit. In Bavaria, and it was stunning. And we just did it on a day off on the way from Munich to Trento. And then we came back under Mont Blanc. You drive under the mountain. You keep on expecting to see like a troop of dwarfs, walking past with their pickaxes, just finishing a shift. Because you are literally under the mountain. It's unbelievable.
You make it sound like something off Game of Thrones here.
Oh, it's insane, man. Honestly, it's insane. It's like snowy as hell when you come up to the entrance to it. And then I think you're limited to something like 60 kilometres an hour throughout it. So it takes about 20 minutes to get through the mountain.
Yeah, which sounds ridiculous.
But and then you get the other side and it's snowy again, and it's very kind of like The Hobbit or Game of Thrones, except for you're in a car.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was wild, absolutely wild. We stopped at Chamonix. I got our lass a nice bag, from a service station.
Proper hardcore road trip stuff there.
Jackson,
The glamorous life on the road.
Yeah, Jackson bought him. He said his best purchase the entire tour was a hat he bought in Munich, which was like a Mongolian horde hat.
That was the 31, wasn't it?
Yeah, and he got a fleece in Chamonix because he was freezing, and he still wears it now. It was unbelievable. But yeah, I mean, all sorts of cool shit. Like, we saw the Leaning Tower of Pisa at night in the rain, but it was still the Leaning Tower of Pisa.
It's all lit up.
Yeah, it's not as spectacular as you think it's going to be, but
the pictures make it seem better.
but but it is still cool, and you can still say, I saw that, and then again, in Flanders, we flew into that one, so we got the plane from Manchester to Brussels, and then we got the bus from Brussels to Flanders to Ghent, which we didn't get to see a lot of, unfortunately, because I'd quite like to have seen the centre of Ghent, because it still exists. It didn't get wiped out during the war, but so we went and played this thing, and again, it was to a bunch of bikers, chopper rally and they were amazing. It was just this festival in the middle of nowhere with all these bikes and chicks and beer and everything going off, and a woman strip teasing next to us on stage. Only got to a certain point, then got her clothes back on, then got back off, then got back on, started dancing and got to the same part again and put them back on again. And then, it's like...
That's weird.
To be honest with you, I genuinely don't think she was that chewer.
Well,
did you think she's kind of like, I'm going to see how they react. If they're not all over me, I might... Yeah.
I don't know
what
was going on.
That's what it is.
I don't,
are you going to try and get in touch with him? Like, come on,
well,
come with the gigs.
I don't know what to tell you.
It's a
it was
unique
like...
pull.
I was kind of thinking, unless I'm watching a Rocky film, I don't want to watch a sequel that's exactly the same as the first one. Like, you've got to
Do
take
some
this
dance
further
moves a bit
down.
different. Come on, be honest.
But anyway, and then we flew to Ibiza, and that was amazing as well. I've never been to the Balearics.
Was it Hard Rock Hell?
Yeah. Is it Balearics?
I don't know. I just remember being on the plane and coming back. It was
I mean, it's a cool spot, man. I mean, it smells a bit interesting, but
funky.
But it's a beautiful place, and cool people and all sorts of shit going on.
I just love the fact that it was rock going on in Ibiza, not just nightclubs and dance.
Oh, it was mental.
Man. Yeah.
The best thing, to be honest with you, was last year when we went out there and played, and it was the night before us. The night before we were on, because we were on. I genuinely don't believe this. We actually went on after massive wagons.
Right.
What band can follow massive wagons? I'm not being funny. The venue left, and it was just like, it was about 100 odd folk that were there.
You've got to have your ear game to do that, yeah.
And but the night before, it was Skindred were on, and it was. I'll be completely honest, I'm not a big Skindred fan.
Me neither.
I like some of it.
I like a couple of their songs,
but that's the thing. I like some of the stuff, but it's kind of for the whole set, which is kind of a bit overkill for me. But with them, there was all the locals bought tickets. It was sell out. It was absolutely packed. Then the next night when we went in, and it was like. Oh, there's like about 400 less folk in here than there was the night before. Right. But I must admit, it was still amazing. No, it's kind of
good experience, isn't it?
Oh, definitely.
Well, it's cool flying.
Yeah, flying to a gig.
But when you think you're going to land in the water before you get to the airport.
Yes, I need to tell you about that. When you're flying into Ibiza, there is this awful moment where you think you're going to crash into the Hard Rock hotel because you literally fly right over it. Yeah.
That is one thing I didn't pass on before anybody else went. I didn't mention anything about the point where you're kind of like, that water's getting close. Yeah, it's getting a bit too close now.
And then he
water
touches,
landing.
Then he touches down, and it's
Obviously
just like full brakes. You're like, because the runway is so short.
Yeah.
But no, I mean it's.
And the other worry is my gear still intact?
One word of advice over anything, if anybody is flying to Ibiza, whether it's gig or otherwise, take headphones with you. I didn't, and honest to God, I was deaf by the time I got off that plane. It was awful. There was stag doos everywhere. When me and Steve went over, it was me and Steve and Jackson went over, and we were flying out, what was it? Would have been 6 o'clock in the morning, something like that. And we thought, great, quiet flight. I get on, what does Stephen do? Ear cancelling headphones, sticks them in straight away. I'm like, you're not talking? Nope. Pulled his beanie over his face. That was it. So literally,
pills.
That would have been a good idea. And the lad that was sat beside me was really nice. He was like talking the whole time because he was going over at beer rep. So that was me and him were talking the whole time, and it was literally by the time we got there, I was about dead because I hadn't slept in about 14 hours by that point. And then we decided to go out and carry on drinking when we got there.
Mind you, sleeping pills
Bad
wouldn't
decision.
work.
Yeah.
Sleeping pills wouldn't work for that because it's too short a flight.
To be honest with you, I don't really find the work.
A few hours before.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, unless you do it like 4 hours
Yeah.
before and then get carried onto the plane
And do that.
and wake up when you get there.
I don't think they'd really allow me to kind of like fall asleep. Be like, oh yeah, just drag us onto the plane. It's fine.
Yeah. He's all right. He's all right.
Our flight
He's
was
not drunk.
alright, you know. I mean, I suppose we flew from Brussels, didn't we? Which is probably a bit.
Don't fly from Manchester Airport where there's a ton
Yeah.
of folk going on stag do's.
Every day.
And they're all chanting.
I got
Yeah,
patted
yeah.
down. I got patted
Ooh.
down. I got swabbed. I got searched because I forgot to take. Because I took like bits and bobs of gear with me, and I forgot to take a foot switch out of my bag, and I had the coil wrapped around it. And she was like, "What's this?" And I was like, "Oh, I don't know. Let's have a look." She's like, "Step away from the bag." I was like, "Whoa, okay."
Yeah, that's the thing. You said I don't
Is
know
that
what
the
it. You
bomb?
said I don't know what it is. That's
No,
like,
I don't know. Let's have a look. You know, I was like, "Whoa." Did you pack
Bad
this bag
words to
yourself?
say at an
Yes.
airport, everyone. Bad word to say.
Yeah, yeah.
that's the
And I
classic,
was
innit?
like,
Did you pack your bag yourself?
Yeah.
Yes.
What's in the
Think
case?
so.
Is it a guitar? I hope so.
Well, no, eventually she got it out and she's like, "What's this?" And I was like, "It's a foot switch for that thing over there." She's like, "Oh, what does that do?" Well, it just flicks the channels.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Carry on then.
yeah.
Well, no, I mean,
One minute you're about to get an anal inspection. The next minute, off on you go.
Oh
it's
no,
fine.
he did get that. I heard on the.
yeah. No, I got
That was heard
frisked.
on the grapevine.
I got frisked, man. I took everything off. I took shoes off because I was wearing my boots that got repaired by a motorcycle mechanic in Switzerland. That
Right.
was a random story. So obviously they had a screw through it, so it set off the metal detectors and all
Okay,
that
yeah.
shit. And I got patted down in the lot, and I still was making a bleeping noise, and we couldn't figure out what the hell it was. Eventually, they just let me go.
Oh well. Well, they couldn't find a bomb, so it's all right.
No,
yeah.
no.
And best
But,
word of advice as well. The one thing I've found out: if anybody's travelling abroad, go with Jet 2 if you're taking guitars.
Right.
Even just a normal guitar case. That is the only company I go with.
Right.
Ryanair is not worth it.
Ah,
As
yeah.
I found out when we
Well-
paid to have it taken onto the flight, and it was like, "What are you doing with that? Like, have you bought a seat for it?" And I said, "Well, we paid, like, Stephen had paid, what was it, 60, 70 quid for it?"
Yeah.
And it was like, well, I presume so. We paid that. I said, yeah. And just basically pushed me down the aisle. So we got to the seat, and it's like, well, somebody sat in it, so what do you do? So it was like, well, overhead locker. So stick it in there, and nobody, they weren't like, it's no disrespect to Ryanair in any way, but it's just kind of, if you are flying Jet 2, I found anybody for coming back were amazing.
Yeah.
The guy stuck fragile stickers all over it and peeled half my stickers off when I took them off.
Oh,
But,
God, yeah.
but
You
yeah.
need to just put them on all permanently on your
Yeah.
case wherever.
I
you
should
go
have actually just left it. I left the airport tag on it for long enough, really.
Well,
It got a bit manky, so I had to take that one off.
we bought flight cases, so we didn't. We
Some folk,
there.
Well,
us lepers, I can't do that.
we just, I mean, the thing is,
Sorry, I said lepers, I meant paupers. No.
we got a good deal off a very, very, very good company, Scott Dixon. If you wanna
Okay.
get in
Plug,
touch with the guy,
plug.
We'll put that in the show notes.
he's
Well,
he's
thanks to.
really, really, really good manufacturer of flight cases and things, and
Okay.
he gave us a good deal. And the thing was, because we were taking 3, because you've got your main, you've got your backup, and then we've got one in open G. And I can't say to a crowd, "Give me a minute," whilst I retune
Can't do
open
that,
G.
no.
So and that worked out fine, except for the half an hour where in Brussels where they weren't sure where they were, which was terrifying.
Yeah.
It's like that's got thousands of pounds worth.
Panic moment.
Yeah.
But eventually they found it and it was all right. And then it was just, I thought that was a better way to do it.
Yeah, no, to be honest, I think I'm going to get a flight case at least for my head because it makes it easier for carrying it
Recommended.
around anyway. It's
The amount of
protection.
times I've seen folk
Gets
have
knocked about in
spilled
the van
drink
and
in it,
stuff.
something like
Yeah.
that, it's not worth it.
And, yeah. It's not
But the
worth
thing
it.
with that guy is he uses aircraft grade aluminium as well, so it's light, but
Right.
it's really
It's
strong.
sturdy, yeah.
I think my 3 guitars in the case came out at, was it 32 kg?
Right.
Which, for 2 Les Pauls and a Telecaster
That's
in a
not
flight
bad.
case
Yeah,
isn't
yeah.
bad at all, you obviously have to pay to get it on the flight anyway if you're flying
Yeah.
with Ryanair.
Yeah.
But they were really cool anyway. They just put it on this separate thing and checked baggage, I think they called
Yeah.
it, and then off it goes. And it's like,
That's the point. If you're going Ryanair, check it in. Don't take it to the gate like it used to tell you on the side.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Check it in.
no,
I want to have it as a seat next to me.
In all
Well,
fairness, it
people
was quite
did do
amusing.
that,
though,
yeah.
Yeah.
I know
Yeah.
people that did it, and if I was only taking one, I'd have thought it's probably a cheaper option. But
I've got 8 guitars. Can I have 8 seats, please? 9
In all
seats.
fairness, the fun part was actually coming back into Manchester Airport, and it was Maystay and Massive Wagons, lads. We were all there. We come through the security area. We're coming through. all of a sudden on this belt, I just saw this little buggy going around, and I'm like, all right, I'm sure it's my guitar case behind that. Gets up to the corner, literally comes around the corner like that. The buggy just gets propped right there, and then all of a sudden my guitar case just decides to land on top, which like thudding the whole time.
Oh, no.
And I was just thinking, by the time we get down these escalators, I hope that hasn't just snapped in half.
Oh, God. Yeah.
But no, luckily there was nothing on it.
Oh, well.
Gibson guitar cases do stand well.
Well,
Yeah,
I mean, the other thing about those flight cases, I mean, I'll give you the details for it, is that, you know, actually, by the time you've got 3 hard cases stacked on top of each other in the van,
Yeah.
it actually takes up less space. It does look freakily like a child's coffin.
Child coffin, forget coffin case, it's now child coffin case.
No, it's
This is what a serious like death metal band should start.
you
The
know,
child coffin case. I think if this starts off, that could be it.
Yeah.
you know, because if it's just a standard guitar, it's only a certain height, isn't it?
Sorry
But
for
yeah.
anybody who might take offence who's watching this.
Well,
I'll hang my head in shame.
you know, yeah, but they do actually take up less space, and I was flabbergasted by that. And then, of course, our bassist decided he was going to get himself a flight case, which was different. And now, when he takes his flight case out, it looks like he's brought his flat screen TV with him.
That could actually be a good idea if we're going on to. We just stick that up in the back of a van.
Well,
Yeah.
Or if not, the car in front and then have headphones in. Just don't get any traffic in between. Yeah.
It just depends whether you're going to. Do you reckon a 12-volt adapter is going to power that? I don't know. It might do. I don't know. You'd have to
Worth
get
a shot.
inverter, wouldn't
If
you?
If the engine
Investigate that.
explodes, it wasn't me that recommended
No, you'd have to get an inverter,
Yeah.
wouldn't you? I think, but.
it. Don't do it into a sports car. That's all I'm saying. Now. It's not worth it.
2-seater and the back is just a
Get an
TV.
old Citroen 2CV, mount it on top of it, and then see what happens. Or a Mini Cooper, that'd be a good idea. Not the new German ones, though, like one of the old
No,
ones.
no.
Yeah.
Oh, and you mount it in the ceiling. Although
Yeah.
you'd get a sore neck, wouldn't you? Just the whole time.
No, get that and then be in the vehicle behind it.
Ah,
Yeah.
I see where you're
I'll
going.
say I've thought this through. This is how good it's going.
How would you? Well, I suppose you could remotely transmit the sound, couldn't you?
Yeah. Either that or...
Or just
I don't know if
try
it's an
and
answer,
sync
but
it.
yeah. If not, it'll be interesting.
Have the
feeling.
same DVD and then just pause it until you get the right bit.
So I hand him it like, play. Oh no, you missed it. You go back.
Yeah. You have to go forwards a bit now. Oh, why does this look like
It's
a
too
kung fu
late.
movie from the 1970s? Come on, sort it out, man.
So when did because your most recent album, The White Raven, when did that come out?
It was last December. Yeah, last December.
All right. How's that been received?
'Cause
That
yeah,
was with,
pretty well.
Off Your Rocker, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's with Off Your Rocker, yeah. It's been received pretty well so far, you know. Some very, very kind reviews and
Yeah.
some not so kind reviews, as you would expect.
You're always going to get that, yeah.
Well, you know, I think it's a lazy reviewer that concentrates on what an album's not rather than what it is. But
Yeah. Sometimes I always find it, if you look, it's like they've given it to someone who doesn't really like that music, so
That is one thing,
chances
to be
are
honest
they're not
with you,
gonna
that's
give it a
really
good
bad,
review
yeah.
'cause it's not really their thing.
Mm.
Yeah. Like somebody that's into metal and they give him a country and western album, like, that is really
Yeah.
not going to work well.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
'Cause you can look them up usually, what else they've reviewed, is like,
Yeah.
they don't normally review
It's
this,
quite
so why are
interesting
they-
that, and you just kind of, it's that thing like you say, it's kind of like not fit the genre, but it's kind of, if you like something like that, surely it should be kind of, you walk into enough, it's like, right, what does anybody want to do? I've got this kind of style band, I've got that style band,
Yeah.
like go from there. But I know it sadly isn't all like what the TV series Vinyl was like, but you know,
No, yeah.
just as an idea.
Well, I mean, we've had some really kind reviews and some. I mean, nothing that's like an absolute howling stinker.
Yeah, yeah.
I think it's a good album. I like it.
I do too.
Oh, thank you, man. I didn't realise you had it.
The £5
Yeah,
will
but-
be
yeah.
handed over later on.
Cool. Yeah, I'll have to.
I don't
yeah.
stick stickers of any bands on my guitar. You
I know. I
Have you
forgot
not?
about that. Yeah. And it's even worn a bit now because you've got your
I
arm.
realised I shouldn't have put it there. Bigfoot's the worst. Bigfoot's just gone completely white because it's right where my arm is. So the sweat
Nice.
completely gone white.
Oh, we'll have to give you another one.
Yeah, I'll get another one. I'll put it on the bottom.
Put it on the back. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's on the back of the head socket. Is there? We promise.
Oh, right on the 12th fret.
Yeah. I never go there anyway.
The dusty
I'm just
head.
rhythm guitar.
Don't venture too far.
13th
Yeah.
right, surely.
Kev spends most of his gig up there, so
Yeah. Oh, I love watching Kev play.
he's good, isn't
He's having so much fun.
he? Yeah.
He's having so much fun. And he's just like, hey.
is a fans.
He
Hey,
makes it look easy as well, which annoys
Yeah, he
me.
does.
Yeah.
He really
that
does.
really irritates me. I would just like to point out, folk who make stuff look really easy, and you're just like, that is not. Stop it. Just stop right now. That is not worth it.
I like that.
Sometimes I just have to stop and look at just like, what is he doing?
Either that, or make it look as though you're kind of like mildly concentrating rather than like, hope I knock the kettle off. I really do.
Yeah,
Oh,
did I leave the gas
no.
on? No.
Actually, that's a point. I'll plan my shopping list now. I'm playing. Yeah.
Yeah, he's got one of those Gibsons that's got the tunes itself.
Oh,
Is he?
Robo Tunes.
Yeah.
I've tried that. It doesn't go
Sacrilege.
too well.
He doesn't use it for gigs, but he uses
No.
it sometimes in
Don't
rehearsal.
snap a string. That's one thing I can
Well,
recommend.
yeah.
I did lend Stevie Pierce my guitar for that, and he was threatening to not hand me it back.
All right.
Yeah, he did though. It was very kind of him. I do appreciate that. And it played better after he did that, so he broke it in for us.
Does it
All
not
right.
like when you're bending as well? Does it not?
What
try
it
and
was,
modulate this.
he'd snapped the string, but when you go to, if anybody that might find this boring, it's tough.
Well, this is a
Um,
music podcast, so it's
That's
fine.
It's good. We'll talk about strings.
Let's talk about valves as well.
Yeah.
Valves. Yeah, funky
You can
valves.
talk about whatever you want to talk about.
That's good then. But no, it was he'd snapped the string, and it was literally top A, and I thought, all right, I'll go and replace it. I looked at it, couldn't figure out how to do it. It literally, it hooks, it goes in. It's up without knocking my phone. It literally goes in, and then it screws into place. So you've literally got to
Right.
unscrew it from the bottom, and then have an Allen key and unlock it from the top. And you're like, well,
Right.
I'm sorry, but what? And fair enough, I can get hundreds of folk out there, well, thousands of folk love it. But for me myself, I've not snapped a string in 2 years.
Oh, wow.
Fingers crossed.
Really?
Yeah, I did.
How often do you change your strings?
No, this is the thing. No, I did change from Ernie Ball to Diodario though,
All right,
because I found what was it? I was using the power slinkies on them, so I was on 11 to 46s, something like that. And it was when we played a couple of gigs in, what was it, biker festivals, everything like that. And I'd replace them like once a month.
Yeah.
Then after a while, I just slowly noticed they get really grainy, and I thought, well, my hands don't really sweat much because I've never really sweated much when I'm on stage.
Yeah.
Me and Mark don't have any idea what you're talking about. We're both like,
but basically it's kind of like, so like with that, it was kind of, they used to last forever, and then they just started really wearing through, and it's really bad. But I noticed it because the way my master was just set up dead easy. Like half the time it'd be like, yeah, it looks about right. It sounds decent. What's coming out of it?
Yeah.
If it wasn't, I'd turn it up, turn it down, and like just fiddle about until you got to sound right. But bang on, 9 to 4 all the time. If there's a Marshall, I'll plug into it and use it, and I love it.
Yeah.
Except for Orange. Orange I found do the same for us and all. But it's all the brightness just went, and all of a sudden you're playing and you're like,
Goes
this
quickly.
doesn't sound right.
Yeah.
And that was when I was replacing my strings once every 2 weeks
Right.
when we had gigs, because that was at the point where we were doing say like 2 gigs at a weekend, 1 midweek, 2
Yeah.
gigs, stuff like that. And it was I just suddenly thought, well, why not try something else? I went for Diodarios, and to be honest with you, I bought, what was it? I bought a 10-pack of them, replaced them half as often, and I literally just used my last set last month.
All right.
So to be honest with you, it went quite well. But so if anybody wants different strings, I'd recommend them.
Cool.
Yeah.
What do you use?
I use Ernie Balls currently.
Yeah, so do I.
I use the skinny top, heavy bottom ones.
I'm the odd one out now, aren't I?
I use not even slinky, the thickest you can get.
See, I
Good
tried
choice.
them.
But it's just for rhythm. It's just
Yeah.
better for rhythm.
Yeah, well, I tried them and I tried playing lead on them, and I
It's not
kind
for
of got
lead.
away with it, but it was a bit
I've
sore.
never snapped a string because obviously they're so thick.
Yeah.
Let's guess though, do you go for a lot of picks?
Yeah, that's why I always have a pick
Is it the heavy gauge it uses?
No,
not.
no. It's, for me, it's when they just get a bit. When I get sweaty, sometimes
Yeah.
it just slips. Sometimes,
Rub off
so I always have
yeah.
it right. But I don't. I use really thin picks on thick strings.
I'm really bad at finger picking,
Because
so
obviously
that's
I
why
do a
I've
lot
done
of
spare.
a lot of
Yeah,
down
yeah,
picking,
yeah.
a lot of down picking, and a lot of alternate picking. So if I had a thick pick on thick strings, the
would
resistance
just
was too
rub,
much.
yeah.
I was
Mm.
getting like a lot of like that. Whereas if it's a thin pick, I can do that.
You feel
quite
almost like
easily.
you're trying to spark a fire when you're doing
Yeah,
that. in a
yeah.
weird way, but
Well, you get that great, almost like it's almost like a Spanish guitar kind of thing, where you're able to get like,
Yeah.
kind of notes on a, which I've never tried.
I think
But
my wrist will
I'm
give
always
in.
impressed when people can. But no, I use a skinny top, heavy bottom. I don't know. I need to get some 11s because I've got a semi that I'm working on at the moment, a ES330 that doesn't seem to like skinny top, heavy bottom. It seems to make it a bit unstable tuning wise.
Right.
The Les Paul's cut perfectly fine with it. But I do think some 11s at some point might not be a bad idea. I found a company that make like, hand wind strings, which I might give a go at some point. You know, it's not cheap. It's like 15 quid a set or something, but
It's worth a try.
you know, well, you know, if they sound good and they last a while.
The only other ones I'd recommend as well is Rotor Sound bass strings.
Yeah.
And I'm fiddling away on bass. For them, they are absolutely spectacular. I'd recommend them.
But you don't ever change bass strings.
No, but that's the thing. You
Don't ever change them.
Don't
You
ever
do
change
at some
them.
point.
No.
Only when they snap.
Yes, when it breaks, replace it.
Either that or when they start going brown and manky. Yeah.
No, when it breaks, replace it. Up until that point, it's all good. It's all good. You don't want brightness. Well, sometimes you do, I suppose. If it's a Rickenbacker, you want to replace them a bit more often. But if it's like a Fender or like a Gibson Les Paul bass or something, or a Thunderbird, you kind of want that plummy kind of...
Depends what you're going for. Depends on your sound, doesn't it?
Yeah, I suppose if you want an angular kind of aggressive sound, then yeah, you're probably going to have to replace them.
Some music needs to the bass needs to cut through. I suppose like three pieces as well. It's a lot more.
Yeah, but then you can boil them. You know, you can boil your bass strings, and that
I
cleans them up.
Yeah.
Apparently, I did once try doing it with guitar strings, and it was a disgusting mess. So I never did it again. But you know, I don't know whether that's because my sweat is basically like, you remember that green stuff that was on G.I. Joe? The G.I. Joe movie where there's the green stuff.
yeah.
and
We
it
didn't
hits
mention this was actually going to turn into like a horror theme.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
It hits the Eiffel Tower and it just melts it.
Yeah,
That's basically
Next
what
week
my
on
sweat's
Embarrassing
like,
Bodies.
man. It's just acidic sweat. Just because
Acid sweat, man.
your sweat's like bloody perfume. All right.
I've got like gigolo sweat. That's what it's kind of is. By the way, that is not my new hobby on the side. I would just like to point out. Yeah.
Just let that one
Cal
slip
Bigelow, Cumbrian Gigolo.
I'll put that in the show notes.
there. Yeah, make a note of that.
Oh no!
Got a website.
Apparently in Nottingham, I'm still known as CD Pimp.
CD Pimp.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a story behind that?
There is, but it's not allowed to be on air.
Okay.
I'm just
It
assuming
didn't involve anything. I wasn't walking around wearing like a velvet coat and like a cane or anything. No.
goldfish in your platforms.
Oh, actually, there was. How did you know that? Yeah.
It's all good until they
Only problem
die.
was, it kept on escaping though because I didn't sail it in properly. But yeah.
Should have gone to Wix, shouldn't you? Get some silicon sealer on your platform. Corking, man. Corking.
I wonder where you and Jack's got yours from. Right now I know.
Yeah, man. Corking. It's important, you know.
It's a good way to go. So now I've learned how to like change my pimping style. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I just assumed CD Pimp. I just assumed you were like rolling around, going, you know, you want to buy an album? Want to buy an album?
Opens up a jacket and he's got
Yeah.
inside of the jacket.
Yeah.
Want to watch some albums?
Yeah, like that creepy guy off Hercules. He's like, want to buy a sundial?
Wow.
No, it's just want to buy an album.
By the way, I wasn't wearing a flasher Mac either. Genuinely.
Right, okay.
Yeah. That's what I said to the police anyway, but it's fine. It's legitimate. It wasn't raining, but it was legitimate.
Indecent exposure? Well, exposure's exposure.
Before I forget, what has 13 Stars got? Any plans for the future?
Well, we're going to be doing our next single off the Raven 2 or 3 months' time.
Right. Another video?
Yes, with the video, yeah.
Is it going to be with the wonderful Pavel again?
Probably with Pav, yeah. Yeah, we do love Pav.
He's bloody good.
He's awesome and he's really
People
easy
listening,
to work
check
with.
out tvpav.com.
Yes, do.
Worthwhile. He's just done Massive Wagons new video as well.
Yep.
Still to be released.
Yep.
But
He
yeah,
is
I
rather
believe.
talented.
If not, I'm really bad on Facebook and I haven't seen
Ratio.
anything yet.
Ratio in it.
Yeah. I mean, Pav is incredible and he does a great job and you know, he's very reasonably priced as well.
Yeah.
Especially for the job he does. He's incredibly well priced.
And I thought I was the one that was called CD Pimp.
Lets you pay. It doesn't. You don't have to pay up front either. Do you can pay in instalments if it's better for you as well.
Well, I mean, I'm sure you can always come to some sort of arrangement with him
Yeah.
if you need to. You know, he's a very, very approachable guy and a very gifted music video
Videographer. Is that the word?
videographer. Yeah, videographer is the word.
Yeah.
And also, you know, he's a great director. He's a very good producer, and he's got a great eye. You know, and he's a
cool
very
guy
good
as well.
photographer as well,
Yeah.
actually.
Yeah.
And his stuff on 35mm is really interesting if you get a chance to look
Yeah,
at that.
he sent me some links to some stuff. And I was like, that would be really cool to do a music video. And he just said it's incredibly expensive to hire to get
Yes.
it for a shoot. It's like it adds
Yeah.
hundreds of pounds onto your shoot already. So
Oh no, man, you're talking thousands when you're talking shooting
thousands,
film.
right?
Yeah, because it's
he just sent me a clip, and I was just like, it just looks amazing. But why is it so expensive?
because it's film.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
you've got to, you know, it's like it's 24 frames a second.
Yeah.
So there's a reason it's called footage, right?
Yeah.
It's because it's feet and feet and feet of film.
Yeah.
You know, and you know that's a molecular process rather than a digital one. And
Yeah.
it does have a bearing on the picture, but it's ludicrously expensive.
Yeah. It's because it's not very common, so I suppose it's like expensive.
Well, even when it was common, 30, 40 years ago, it was still bloody expensive.
Right.
It's always been expensive because it's an expensive medium. It's
Yeah.
not cheap to make, and it's not cheap to process, and it's not cheap to then take it from film to what we call
update it, I suppose.
Well, it's called telecine-ing,
Yeah.
where you basically make it into video to then cut it non-linear. Otherwise, you have to get your razor blades out and
Yeah, then you've
splice
sort of got to digitise it, I suppose, at the end of it.
well, that's it. Yeah, that's
Suppose well, it's
that's
kind of the
telecine,
same as
yeah.
with like recording the tape. Well, recording like with tape and like
Well, it
in the
is,
studio
yeah.
or something like that.
It is pretty much the same, yeah. Because
Yeah.
even then, you had to like use razor blades and tape and stuff.
Actual cutting of it.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
It's a bit of a shame, isn't it? Now everything's all done digitally,
I'd love
and
to
you
record
kind
an
of
album
like
that way as well.
Yeah,
Analog.
I've heard some great albums that were done on tape recently, and I've heard some that were not so
I like
great.
the Foo Fighters one that they did on it. I
Aye,
like the sound
that was
on that one.
definitely-
It was
Well, the
really
Raconteurs last album was done on tape,
Okay,
and that
right.
was sensational. And
Yeah.
Sonic Boom as well was
Yeah,
done
yeah.
on tape, and
Yeah.
that was great.
Well, no, Slash's last one, World on Fire, for me, I think that's probably his best solo stuff, but all
Yeah,
that,
yeah.
like you say, that's all on tape as well. But suppose when you have a massive label behind you, they'll kind of foot the bill for some of that.
You can just
It
say,
doesn't-
I
it doesn't
feel
do any
like
harm,
doing
does it?
X, Y, and Z, and they
Yeah.
just go, okay.
Yeah.
Well, it's got its own sound. It has a natural sort of compression, which
Yeah.
tends to sit the drums and the bass very comfortably together. If that
Yeah.
makes sense, and you kind of get a tape saturation going on, which is quite interesting.
Yeah.
You can sort of replicate it to a degree, but
Mm. Varying levels of success.
yeah, exactly. Well, it's
Yeah.
like anything else, isn't it? You can try, but
Yeah.
if you want an apple pie, don't go and buy a cherry one. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Going back to Slash, I was just thinking, I've asked most guests so far about the whole Slash. Obviously, you're saying about creative freedom and like money to do whatever he wants, but he got famous pre-internet.
Yeah.
So do you think will anybody else get in that situation post-internet
It's kind
without album sales anymore?
To be honest, in a weird way, it's kind of, I've noticed it with some bands, especially recently, you get a lot. I think, to be honest with you, the one thing is, if you can like promote yourself really well, everything like that online, I think 100%, if you've got the promotion levels, everything like that, if you've got that down to a T, and say, I know some days some bands post stuff that isn't anything to do with music related or anything like that, it'll be like some stupid meme or something
But
like
fans
that.
like to see stuff like
It's
that.
kind of like, yeah, the thing is, it's kind of,
it's different.
I think it's something like you say, it's kind of, don't take, if you're one of them bands where you take everything too serious, where it's literally, it's all like, we're hardcore, that is it, it's
Yeah.
all about music, we're not having fun, it's
Yeah.
just, you get up on stage, you play. If you do that, I don't think it's ever going to work. If you're doing it for the love, if you think money, stuff like that,
Yeah.
I don't think it'll ever work. But 100%, I think if somebody has, if you have what it takes, I think there is the chance that somebody can get out there and do it.
Yeah.
It's that thing of finding the new. I think once one band does it, it'll kind of start setting not the benchmark to do it, but in a way it kind of like opens that route to it.
But
In
do
a
you
way,
think we'll ever have stadium filling bands?
Yeah.
I think.
I have my
Yeah,
doubts
but
whether
the
we'll get like
problem is-
AC/DC, Metallica, Iron Maiden level where they could
That's-
do a world tour.
Yeah, the
of
bands for me that
stadiums.
are kind of coming out at the minute that are doing that, and you're kind of like, no disrespecting, but it's like Muse for me. I can't stand them. I'm not disrespecting
No,
Muse
it's
because
fine.
they're
You got-
incredible. They're incredibly
That's fine.
like talented folk and that, but. For me, it's not my kind of music. When folk like you start saying, "Oh, they're a rock band," or this, that, and you're like,
Yeah.
when I knew Muse, they were more of a pop band.
Yeah.
I'm being honest. They were more like pop rock.
Well, for me,
You
all the
get
bands
it's-
that
yeah.
all the bands that are doing stadium tours at the minute are all bands that became famous
Yeah.
in a way that doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
So I'm just thinking.
Well, I'm not being
will
funny.
anybody
Like, look at
else after
Nickelback, bands like that. You look
Yeah.
at them now, and it's kind of like, well, they were kind
that,
of
they were
on.
just on the cusp. Of
Yeah,
that.
and it's
They're
like with
still-
them, they've got Monster
They
Truck
still
with
had
them, and you're
album
kind of
sales
like,
per
yeah.
se at one point, didn't they?
Aye.
I don't know. I
done
think
that.
the cream always rises to the top, right?
Yeah, but I think the top will be lower than
shrinking,
it used to be,
yeah.
or the threshold of what's considered a
Yeah.
big band might have to come
I don't
down
know.
a bit.
I don't know because
Agree.
like some of the the real sort of guitar idols now, the likes of your Bonamassas and your JD Simos and people like that. I mean, fair enough. They've got a good publicity machine behind them, and everybody benefits from that, right? But at the same time, they're still very good players, still achieving things that you know, are not to be sniffed at. And the whole, the whole arena thing came about, in the 80s anyway. You know, prior to that, your biggest, locales, if you like, your biggest venues were, the theatres, the Rainbows, the Odeons, Hammersmith Odeons, Albert Halls, that sort of thing. And those guys are all playing those now. So there's no reason to think that if they can get enough of a publicity machine behind them, there's no reason to think they couldn't achieve those things.
Yeah, it's just like in 10 years, who'll be headlining Download?
Well, I mean,
I'm not being funny. Even look at like next year, 'cause for me, this year, it's kind of that strange thing for me. Like, you've got bands like this year that were on. You've got like Iron Maiden. You've got Sabbath. You've got bands like Rammstein.
Still relying on them, aren't they?
It sounds really bad. I'm not massively keen on Rammstein, stuff like that.
I don't like Rammstein.
But, yay, high five. But it's kind of like, it is that thing. You've got all them different bands like that, and then you look down the bill and you see the amount of bands that are coming up. You've got kind of like, you've got Shinedown. For me personally, yeah, fair enough. When I saw Shinedown in February, I wasn't massively impressed, because the time before, because then it was a lot of it was backing track, and I knew they were a backing track band, but that night his vocals were,
it's a lot more
like,
common than people think.
It was kind of like, I could tell it was track, because you could hear the vocal pitch change and straight. And it kind of disappointed me, because the time before I'd seen him do that, it wasn't like that at all. But that was in the Auto Academy. You watch footage of them at Download, and they've just stripped all that back, and it's like, screw that, we're doing what we want to do, not what the record label wants you to do. And with bands like that, for me, I think a band like them could definitely do it. Yeah. But it is that thing with them, they're not, in a way, I couldn't really pigeonhole them. And I think that for me is kind of what's breaking through with it. They're one of them bands, they can't be pigeonholed, because they missed out on like the new metal era, they missed out on the grungy stuff like that. Yeah. And when they came out, everybody was like trying to label them as pop. But you see them in the States, they got to, what was it, number 2? I think they were beaten to number 1 by Black Eyed Peas with Sound of Madness. And you're like, for me, that album is amazing. The newest album, it's not what I'd kind of put in the rock category, but at the same time, it's phenomenal. I absolutely love it. Yeah. And it's kind of like, I think if people are willing to give a chance to bands, that's what it'll take. Yeah. If people still think that you can go online, go on Pirate Bay and stuff like that, and it's like, oh yeah, I'll download that movie, I'll download that single, I'll download that album for nothing, illegally. Yeah. If you're going to be doing that, there's too much of that knocking about. If that kind of like really knocks it on the head, and it's like, go back to your fashion way, whether it's downloads or anything like that, that'll still have a huge impact. But I think kind of, if you can get rid of, I know you're never going to get rid of it, but if you can get rid of the illegal piracy side of it, everything like that, 100% the band can do it. I
just need to make the legal side of it more affordable, and people don't feel they have to.
Oh yeah. Well, the thing is, it's like, if you look at some bands in that, like you go to gigs, stuff like that, with some venues, they'll literally put, what was the last thing I heard, one of them, it was they'll put 40% on top of what your album's worth. Yeah. Like, say you sell your album at £6, £10, something like that. Like, they want 40% of the cost from that. Yeah. So the bands have to go, well, we can't afford to take that hit, because that's what it costs to get you in the studio next time. It's kind of like, we'll knock the prices up. It's nothing like you say, if costs come down on stuff, it makes it a bit more bearable. If it's not as cost heavy, like you say, for a band to fork it out there, and I think 100% it'd make a big difference.
Like, album sales have been taken away, and they've never really been replaced. Yeah, like, streaming's there, but
like the amount of
financially, it doesn't work out. Well, I mean, but it hasn't redressed the balance. Like Spotify and YouTube, like, you get some bands can get millions of plays and streams, but they're not getting the money that they were getting from albums, which they should really. It should have just. If the record companies had looked at it, like, properly, they should have just implemented a system that just album sales are going down. This is what's coming in. Let's do, just like, redress the balance.
Not play by hits, but you know what I mean, kind of like in that. Like,
because obviously most of the world is caught up to that now.
Oh yeah.
But the record companies just buried their head in the sands and thought it was the whole Napster thing, and FileShare was going to go away.
We've created a big shithole. We're just going to like.
Well, if you look at it, the fact that the biggest company that handles all online distribution in music is a computer company, not a record company. That tells you everything you need to know.
Yeah, I mean, but it's a 60s model, isn't it? It's a 60s model they have in place now, where it's, it's singles rather than albums. As you say, it's different outlets, but it's effectively all plugging the same thing. Oh yeah. And actually, that wouldn't be so bad. And in fact, I don't think they're that unreasonably priced, downloads and what have you. I think they could come down a bit.
Bands don't get enough of it, though.
Well, that's the issue. That's the issue. It's not the cost to the customer, it's what the album's artists are actually getting back, which is
That's something that needs to be addressed.
Oh, absolutely, yeah, because that is ridiculous.
A lot of biggish bands, medium bands are splitting up because they just can't afford.
Absolutely,
can't afford to do it.
Because
there's a lot of bands who were when they started, they were getting album sales, and it's happened to them. They've had both sides of it, where they had the album sales coming in, and that's gone, and nothing's replaced it.
That is one thing with regards to spot. Like, well, to be honest with you, like when you go on, like with Reverb Nation for bands that like haven't set up stuff like that. So if you go on that, you can get your songs on iTunes, you can get them on Amazon, stuff like that. And it really surprised me because when you're looking at it and then all of a sudden, it actually comes up on it, and it's your own song and stuff like that's been recorded. And it's kind of, it's that thing. I think stuff like that, it can cost a hell of a lot of money to put stuff out there. But folk don't realise it's sadly not broadcast enough the platforms that you can get into. Yeah, fair enough, you don't get as much back because they'll take a small cut of it, stuff like that. But it's that thing. It's like the percentage rate, stuff like that folk do.
It doesn't add up.
Oh,
no, it doesn't.
It's all wrong.
Spotify, Apple, all of those digital music distributors. They're running a business too. I understand they need to make a profit and they need to pay for the staff to keep the thing running.
It's not their fault. They've created the infrastructure.
Well,
they're not the governing body of how the finances work.
Well, they kind of are because they're the company that's doing it.
Well, to be fair, most of the record companies now own that.
Well, true, yeah.
But initially, they just set up the infrastructure for people to use it. They didn't decide on the prices, and then the record company sort of bought into it and kept it exactly how it was. They didn't. They could have redressed the balance, but they didn't.
Well, that is the key thing. I mean, to come back to your point of who are going to be the next arena bands, I can see Blackberry Smoke and somebody like that really kind of, because they're already building a fan base that is big. I mean, they're really big in America.
Yeah,
They're getting bigger and bigger every time they come back to Europe.
In an ideal world, I hope that once all the dinosaur bands have been taken away, the bands that were all there below them just
I'm not being funny. The band for me that genuinely shocked me was Blackstone Cherry. So on the Carnival of Madness too, when I went to see them, it was for me, I was kind of feeling a bit, because obviously I like last time seeing Shinedown, Hailstorm, both of them two, they were kind of completely different bands, but that was
Hailstorm,
4 years back. And it's kind of like, they'd gone from, like Hailstorm had gone from being like the full-on rock band, everything like that. Then it was kind of weird, because I was waiting for it to kind of punch through with the next bit, and you're like, nah, it's not. And then I'm kind of like, nah. And it was really weird, like the whole night, because I thought I loved it. But then it was weird for me, because then you see Blackstone Cherry and then coming on, and as soon as they're breaking at the first song, that was it, the whole set. And I thought, I know it is that thing, there's a lot of bands like when they stop right in the middle, and it's kind of like, age cut the song dead, there was somebody in the audience who had obviously got knocked about a bit, and it was like, that's it. It's kind of, they're one of them bands, they're not fake. It's kind of, for me, like when you see the documentary of the new album, like recording it, like they say themselves, they're not pleasing anyone anymore. Yeah. It's just kind of, they're going out there, it's like, the record label can do what they want, but we're doing it our way. Yeah. It's like, we're going to do what we want, take it back to the roots, do it the simple way. And to me, to be honest with you, that album I think is one of the best ones I've put out since Folklore and Superstition.
That's what the fans want as well.
Yeah, oh, definitely. It's kind of, it's too easy to kind of go into the, we'll overproduce something.
You should be doing what your fans want, not what your record label wants.
Yeah, exactly.
Because what major record labels, whatever they're going to tell you is going to be based on what's going to make more money.
Yeah,
not what your fans are going to prefer.
It's not anything else.
If you're going to cater to anybody, it should be T fans.
Yeah,
but you also have to be true to yourselves.
Yeah,
and I think that's I've said for years, I think road testing new material is vitally important because if it goes down like a lead balloon, why waste the money recording it?
You have to rethink what you're doing.
Yeah. Maybe it just needs tweaked, or maybe it just needs junked altogether.
Yeah.
But either way, you need to address that situation, and whether or not your record company liked it or what is kind of irrelevant, really. For your own quality control, you've got to redress that.
Yeah, I agree.
It's that thing got to be your own worst critic. Every time.
Absolutely.
You've got to be realistic and honest, I think.
If not, it's kind of that's when you if you're doing something that's like, oh yeah, we can't replicate that live, and you're like, nah, forget it, it's fine, we'll leave it in. We'll stick 20 tracks in when they're secretly free folk.
Oh, that sounds like something we've already done. Let's sack that off.
But
do something else.
I think albums are a different art form to a live show.
They're also a lost art form at the minute.
Well,
EPs, to be honest with you, seem to be the way that everything's going. It's like if you get a group of songs like EP, stuff like that, that's one thing that shocked me. You get bands where it's kind of like, oh, stick 4 to 5 songs out, do that and do it like what? Release once, like every, say, 18 months, they'll release 2, something like that.
Yeah.
If bands that are doing that, you suddenly realise, hang on a minute, they've caught onto that where it's kind of, it's not as expensive to sell. Fair enough, it still costs as much to make because you've got to make it album-worthy kind of material for it, haven't you? But it's kind of like, not saying that is the way to go because it obviously isn't, because it doesn't work the same for everyone.
But it's all different now.
But
There's no real right or wrong way to do it.
It's kind of that thing of trial and error. Say if it works out for you.
Yeah, well, the most important thing is to
tour
tour now. That's the only way you make money. So
exactly,
if you just record a song or 2 and then put a video out, you haven't necessarily released an EP or an album, but you've got a new song out, you can do a tour around that.
Yeah,
and, just
and everybody
keep doing
can
that.
go off that, can't they?
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is that recording music now is different anyway. You know, your recorded body of work, let's call it studio rather than album or EP. Let's call it studio work. Studio work is in itself an intrinsically different art form to live. If people wanted to see the album live, you know, if they wanted to hear that album live, they just sit at home and listen to the album.
Yeah.
You know, they're not after that. They're after, you know, at home.
They want the album to come to life.
They want the album to come to life. They want the mistakes. They want the atmosphere. They want all the
personalities of the band.
All the things that make a live performance a live performance. But on an album,
that's like a listening experience.
Yeah,
isn't
you
it?
have to make it bigger and bolder and brassier. You know,
I always imagine the ultimate aim would be to have someone gets your album, they put headphones on and they just sit and listen to it from beginning to end. They don't skip any songs.
And do that.
Or because I don't think people do that anymore. Like just sit and listen to an album without. I imagine most people are doing it while they're doing something else now.
Yeah, that's the thing.
I think it's driving.
I don't think that.
I think it's in the car. It's always in the car.
Well, yeah, or at home with a potter about doing something. It's not a focal point anymore. I can't remember. To be fair, I can't remember the last time I put an album on and just sat and listened to the album like with headphones on, lying on my bed or something. I've never done that. I sometimes go to bed, listen to music, but I don't. Like as a teenager, I used to do that. I used to just sit and listen to albums, but people generally don't do that anymore. I think
last one, to be honest with you, it's kind of odd because sometimes it's kind of, I don't know what to say. If you have like sometimes you get crap that goes on in life and you're just like, that's good. And I think it's weird because it's only when stuff like that's kind of happened that I think, hang on a minute, I'm actually going to do it. So you literally go off. It'll either be that or read for me. That's kind of the two things that I'll do. It's either music or reading. Just kind of like completely lose yourself in it. And it's the last one that I did. Well, the last ones, to be honest with you, was Blackstone Cherries, new album, Shinedown's, and it was Duff McKagan's Loaded one. It was the most recent album that they released. Yeah. It was kind of odd because after I've been reading his books, and it's kind of strange because it's like with 6am. Like when you read Nicky Sixx's books, you can tell the bits in the songs where it's like, hang on a minute, that's kind of like more come to life. I don't mean it in a really fantasy weird way. But it's kind of like, but everything just seems to like spark, and it's kind of, you can see where that's been written from, stuff like that. And it's kind of, for me, I think if you're in that kind of right place and you think, yeah, I'll do that, it's great. But I think, like you said, any longer it doesn't seem to do that because there's so many things that you're like, oh, I've got to do this, I've got to do that, or there's something else.
I think that's always been the case though, you know, because, you know, before downloads and before all of that stuff, we've still got it. It's still there, radio. Yeah. You know, and you know, how many thousands and millions of places in this world have you got people with a radio in the corner whilst they're working?
And now you can't get Planet Rock in Cumbria.
Now you can't get Planet Rock in Cumbria.
I was very disappointed when that happened.
But you know, I mean, even then though, you know, in cars, you know, you had the whole FM movement in America where they were playing deep cuts of albums. There's very few radio stations that'll do that now, but you still had that whole single culture. Yeah, you know, and you still had cherry picking of certain songs from certain albums to achieve a certain aim.
Well, the aim of those singles was always to get someone to buy the album.
Exactly.
Yeah. Which
kind of or like to buy the single.
Or to buy the single.
Yeah. You know, I mean,
physical singles. That doesn't.
Well, that doesn't exist anymore.
No,
but
it doesn't.
You know, but I mean, it did when I was a kid.
Yeah, same here.
You go into Woolies and you buy your single, and then you come out.
CD single. It's got like
our price,
like a B-side on it and a live track or something like that.
Yeah,
that's the thing. It was even when HMV when they stopped doing that, and I thought, well, now if you want a single song off, it sounds really picky, if you want a single song off an album, like, it's an artist that you're not really keen on, but there's one song that jumps out to you and you're like, well, the only way you can get it now is download. Because if the rest of the album doesn't cut your thing in that, then it's kind of like, well, iTunes. Yeah, something like that, isn't it?
I mean, you're right, though. You know, it is all about the tour. It is.
That's
all
what you've got now.
Pretty much.
Because you're not getting your money from streams, you have to rely on your tour, which means, in a way, I suppose it would make bands better because you've got to be good. If you've got to get a position where people are going to want to pay to see you.
The problem is that
And
you
keep
can't do
coming back
that
to
many
see it.
bands
Well-
do, is you can't go out every night and get absolutely gutted. And
And-
sadly,
and
there's too much of that
And
I've
also,
been.
you can't tour too often
Yeah.
No.
because you saturate your own market.
yeah.
There.
Well, you can, just not in the same places.
Well, there is that. Yeah,
You have to spread
Yeah.
out. You have
Yeah.
to. You have to. You know, it is a global market, so you need to think.
Yeah.
Treat it as
globally.
kind of a business in a way, isn't it? Kind
of
of
course
like do
it
it
is,
like
yeah.
that way.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, you've got to explore different markets and try and break into them because the world's a big place, and there's lots of people out there with money that
Yeah.
are interested in music and want
Well,
to listen.
that's
to
what I was going to
different
say
things.
about going out to Europe. That's like it's a whole different ballgame for
Oh,
us.
yes.
It was like when we played Whizfest,
Mm.
which was sold out, and it was like that was the first time I'd ever heard anyone singing the lyrics, like
Yeah.
clearly
Yeah,
on more than one song, and it was just like
It's
we've
a
kind
surreal
of got
feeling.
that now
yeah.
here,
yeah.
but it's taken us like 3-4 years to get to that point. And
Takes
that was our
time,
first time, like on his second time. The album had only been out 3 months.
Yeah,
And it
yeah.
was just like, wow.
And we've got people singing stuff back to us now. And probably have for a month or so, which is what, 6 months,
Mhm.
6 or 7 months after the album's release. We didn't have that in Europe because they didn't know who the hell we were
Yeah.
until after we'd played, and then they couldn't wait till I was back,
Mm.
or at least that's what they said in reviews. I'm not being,
Yeah,
I'm being
no,
an
no.
arrogant twat. But yeah, I mean, it's all about trying to break into new markets, trying to reach new people, which is, in a sense, what's good about the internet is that it is worldwide and that it doesn't
It's
rely
an easier
on
way
you.
to broadcast yourself. In a way,
Yeah,
isn't
it doesn't rely on you physically being somewhere,
No.
but
The bad side of it is
you get fucked over.
well, not just that, but like you people that you're trying to reach have got
Yeah.
a million other bands.
Oh,
trying to
yeah,
do exactly
absolutely.
the same
Yeah,
thing.
yeah,
So it's
yeah,
like,
yeah.
how do you stand
Mm.
above everyone
Well,
else?
it's I
like-
think I've noticed at the minute the biggest place for me that I've seen a lot of stuff happening is kind of like, it's, to be honest with you, is like Sweden, places like that, where it's they really seem to be open to all new music coming through, and you
Yeah.
kind of like, at the minute, there's been a lot of bands that have said, "Oh, I said we'd love to go over there, we'd love to do that." Problem is, at the end of it, it's all that money thing. It's kind of like, well, it's
yeah.
getting the gigs booked. It's kind of knowing that what you're going off for really works, stuff like that. And it's why, to be honest, myself, I think spots like Sweden Rock with their competitions they hold, where it's
Yeah.
like you enter that. But even if you don't win it, they can still be like, hang on a minute, we actually want you over because we like your music. It's kind of
yeah.
Yeah.
gives. I know it's not much for every band because you'll have thousands that'll enter it from everywhere in the UK and even Europe.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like, it's trying to kind of break down that barrier in a way. It's kind of like trying to bring folk in without the massive expense, I suppose, that goes behind it.
I mean, at some point you've got to spend money. You have to. If you're going to be in a band, you have to spend money.
If you want to do it long term, yeah,
You know,
have to spend
whether-
money to make money.
Well, even
Well,
short.
you have to spend money to survive, I should say.
Well, yeah, but even short term, you have to spend money because you have to put. Cars don't run on fresh air.
Exactly.
And for
Yep.
the first, 6 months to a year, depending on how well you go down and how many places you play, you might not be getting paid for a good deal of that.
Yeah, exactly.
But I mean, I'd love to go and do Scandinavia. I haven't done it yet. I'd like to.
Well, that's what I was going to say about Europe. How the difference is from when we played at Whizfest. There was a guy who's got a rock bar in Bruges, which is where we played last November.
Yeah.
But he just wanted we weren't planning on going out to Europe. We obviously try and do a group of dates to make it worth your while going out there. But he just wanted us to come out. And we were like, well, we weren't planning on it. Obviously, we've got a van, so we can get there. And he was like, we'll feed you. We'll give you free beer. We'll pay for you. We've got a hostel across the road. We'll pay for that, and we'll pay €300. And it was like, wow.
Okay.
Imagine trying to get that in the UK.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But
Well-
because the other thing was that we knew we'd sell a lot of merch because we always do when we go over there. More than
Yeah,
we
you
here.
do.
It's
Yeah,
just-
Europe's
it's just
really
like-
good for that.
Well, it's that thing. It's either that, like when you get venues over here, it's like you get some venues, to be honest with you, which are really small, and a lot of folk could probably write them off. It's like, that'll only hold 100 folks, something like that. Screw it, I'm not playing there. But the thing is, always kind of for me, that's the thing that I think I've noticed more when you get the bigger venues, when there's less folk in bigger venues.
I always
like that,
focus on the crowd
that can be
rather than the
really bad.
venue.
Yeah,
I'd
it's
rather play a
that's the thing, yeah.
small venue where you can get it takes
do
less
that.
people to fill it.
I think it sounds awful,
Than
but
a
sometimes
half-empty
it can,
bigger venue.
Yeah, it can sometimes kind of be the bit of a thing of like, we've played at that.
Well, yeah, they just
yeah.
want the fact that they've played the bigger venue. I don't
And do
care
that.
about that. I'd
Well,
rather play a smaller venue
That's the
that's
thing,
gonna
isn't
be
it?
full.
The thing for me is
I
like,
play anywhere. I
yeah.
don't really care.
Well, yeah.
I've played to one man and his dog
No,
plenty
but
times before.
I'd rather arrange it so I'm playing
Yeah.
loads of smaller venues that are all well attended
yeah,
than
and it's
just
fans
bigger
that are
venues
there
because
for
it
you.
looks better, but even there's
Yeah.
no one there.
I must admit, for me, one of the best ones, and I know
whatever
it's
comes
in
up, innit,
Edinburgh and that,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
for one of me, one of the best ones has to be Bannerman's up in
Yeah,
Edinburgh.
yeah. I love
For me,
Bannerman's.
it's like there's nothing about Bannerman's that you cannot like. And by the way, I'm not being paid to plug this. I
haven't
just
done
point
it
that
yet.
out, but
No.
it's
Sorry?
like
I've still not done it.
Have you not?
No.
you've got
Oh.
it. Just recommend it.
No, I really want to go and do it. So if you're listening, I'd love to come and play Bannerman's. But
I know,
I've never done it.
Christian. I'll put a good word in for you.
He's a good lad, is
Thank you very
Christian.
much.
Yeah.
Isn't he? Sadly, he wasn't there last time. He was off with Cody Clark.
No, he was the same for us.
Yeah.
But he's
But
away a
no.
lot. But yeah, he knows what he's doing, doesn't he?
It's definitely one of them venues. It is hot. I will say that
Oh
now.
God, yeah.
It's
That's
an
before you
incredibly
start
hot
playing.
venue, yeah. And it's kind of, it's weird for me. It's kind of like the Arches in Glasgow because it's
Yes.
just like completely arched. The sound
Yeah,
is
it's a
really
brick,
weird.
Brick arch of bricks like that.
It's a really
just
weird
incredible.
sound, but it's good.
Yeah,
It's really
it
strange
travels
saying
really
that,
well.
but it's kind of
Yeah.
like you can hear it bouncing off the wall, so you get it back, and you
Yeah.
kind of.
I've done the
It's
Arches.
definitely a bit
That was
crikey to
interesting.
do.
That was interesting. That was an acoustic show. That was an odd one. Yeah,
All
it was
right.
good fun, but yeah. Like playing in an echo chamber. It was really quiet. But yeah, no, I've never done Bannerman, so. But no, yeah, I don't know. I think the size of the venue is kind of immaterial, really. If you can play a big venue, then great. If you can't, or if you want to play small venues, I think that's cool as long as you're delivering the show.
Yeah.
I don't mind. I'll go wherever they tell me to go.
Yeah.
And I just want to play. I just want to play to everybody everywhere.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter to me, you know.
It's just, you just need.
It's sometimes
as
the
long
harsh
as,
times
you
to
know.
get through to get to the point where it's like instead of playing to like one or two folk, you do end up getting to that point where it's like, oh yeah, they've kind of spread the word.
Yeah.
As long as I
Right.
can afford my pouch of tobacco and and my coffee and my croissant, which I am.
Obsessed.
Ever since I came back from Europe, I've been really addicted to croissant. I don't know why, but I just have been. It's because they were everywhere and they're so damn good. But anyway, they are amazing. They're good for breakfast. They're good for lunch. They're good for tea. They're good for dessert. They're just incredible things. Rye doesn't agree. He says they're just empty pasties, and he thinks they're deceitful and really hates them.
Kind of true, but they're
Well,
nice.
it's not though, is it? Because
Well,
it's a different thing.
they're
But
nice,
anyway,
they're nice.
yeah.
It's worth a try though. That might be an idea for anybody who wants to bring out a pasty croissant.
Well, they already do.
A pass on that can be.
Well, they do cheese and ham
full
ones,
of chocolate,
but
and I'm happy.
Don't get me started.
But no, as long as
You're
I've
making
got
me feel hungry now.
as long as I got those things in place, it doesn't matter
Yeah.
to me.
Is
I
next
just
week
want
when
to
we're on
play
about
to people,
chefs?
right?
Yeah.
I just want to play.
Yeah.
I just want to.
But I don't enjoy playing to half-empty venues. You must enjoy playing when it's full rather than it's empty. That must make a difference.
As long as the
You don't need
crowd are
that,
in,
yeah.
as long as the
Yeah.
crowd are into it, I don't mind.
But there has to be a crowd, though. That's what I'm saying.
Well, no, but even if it's just one guy that I can see that's getting off on it, I don't, or a gal that's getting off on it, or whatever, as long as there's one person in that room that is enjoying what we're doing, I'm happy.
Yeah.
I'd like there to be more,
Yeah.
but as long as we're reaching one person, then
Oh, no, I do agree in that respect. But I always just feed off a bigger crowd with more energy and just
see,
like
it's the Dementor crowds that I don't like.
the what?
Dementor, Dementors from Harry Potter, where they suck the happiness out
Don't
of
do
people.
Harry Potter.
Well, there's these creatures and they suck happiness out of people, right? And there
I
are
see where you're going. Yeah.
and there are some crowds, and I won't say where I've experienced or when, or it could well have been when I was
I'll get you to
four
write it
and
down on a piece of paper.
tap
already
dancing,
being written under the table.
But yeah, sometimes you do get a crowd that just sucks all the energy out of you and gives nothing back, and I find that very difficult. Very difficult.
Yeah.
That's the only one that I really struggle with.
Well, yeah. Sometimes it depends if you've been put on at a festival or some specific type of gig where it's not necessarily you're not necessarily that ideal. The target audience of that.
It's kind of
you get them all with
strange,
their
yeah.
arms folded, and
It's
Yeah.
kind of
Well, they're
weird,
there
to be
for
honest with
another
you.
band.
Yeah.
I must admit, the biggest one, I think, for myself anyway, to be honest, every gig that I've ever played, I've loved in one way, shape, or form, whether it's been
yeah,
you play for 5 minutes, like, we used to be in a cover band, it's like, you play for 5 minutes, folk like, oh, drive watch rugby instead, so you get kicked off after one song. So you just
Yeah.
turn it up onto full blast,
Yeah,
play one
yeah.
song, and get out. And it's kind of like, for me, I think it must have been last Hard Rock LOR, and we were on literally just before Hardcore Superstar.
right.
And I thought, right, Sleaze stage, right before Hardcore Superstar, Heartbreak Remedy is not a Sleaze band. I thought, this is going to go either really well or absolutely awful. Now, it was kind of, to be honest with you, it was good timing how it had worked out. Because it
Yeah.
was, when we went on, we were on literally for our full hour before then.
and we went on the same time. I think it was it Star? Oh, I'm going to get the name wrong. I think it was Star, something like that.
Right.
That were on the main stage, and apparently somebody had said to me they were awful, so they left. And I said I felt kind of bad because you don't want to be like having somebody else's crowd, because it's just bad not having someone's crowd there.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I do get it as being a punter. You don't want to stand and watch a band that you're not enjoying. So it's like, fair enough, move on. So when we went on, there's about a couple of hundred people, and that can hold 1,000 plus in that spot. Then all of a sudden, about 2 or 3 songs in, because I never get nervous. Before that gig, I was literally shaking, and that was after a lot of Jack Daniels, just to kind of calm the nerves a bit. But literally with that, you're lifting your head up and you're like, oh, there's like the folk that you know from every gig, in like in a good way. It's kind of like when you say friendly face, it's kind of, it's always a bit kind of nice. It settles you down a bit. And it was weird because you suddenly noticing the crowd's getting further full, back and back. And then all of a sudden, we literally played about must have been half an hour, 45 minutes to the same crowd that were on Farquhar Superstar. And it's that thing that I thought, it's kind of when a band's got a bigger pull like Hardcore Superstar have, it doesn't matter. It sounds off saying it doesn't matter who's on before, but it's kind of, when they've got that, it does you no harm by having that.
Yeah.
Because for me, I love that, because when we literally walked off stage, first person was there was Kerry Kelly from Alice Cooper and Slash's Snake a few years back. He was literally stood there straight away. And he was literally just like, really happy, talking away for ages. And I thought, it's strange when somebody's like shaking your hand and say, oh, great, I loved your set. And you kind of looking thinking, you've played with Alice Cooper, you've played with Slash, you've played with this, that and next, and then you're on stage tomorrow night in the main venue and everybody's there for you and it's absolutely rammed. It's kind of, it's strange and surreal, but at the same time, when you say like Hardcore Superstar go on stage, you kind of think, that's the motivation that you should need. For all they're not the same music that you write like or anything like that. But it's kind of when they went on, they had the energy, everything they had just went bang, straight into the set. Yeah. And I thought, could not fault them one bit. Having said that, I could never fault one of their sets that I've seen so far.
Hard Rock Hell is a great show to do. Like, I mean,
it's definitely open.
Well, we opened main stage on the last one in November. Was it the Friday morning? That's just what a sensational venue, sensational stage. Great sound. What an amazing crowd. They don't
professional sound as well. There, makes a nice difference.
When they call it the HRH family, they're not kidding. No, it is a family,
it is.
And they travel and they go to other festivals. Like we did Wildfire a couple of weeks ago, and that's another great festival. But they have a lot of the HRH people go to Wildfire, and you're seeing a lot of these people that are travelling around and spending money to see bands that they love. Yeah, and that's not to be,
It's kind of the die-hard fans in a way.
I always appreciate it because I see them all the time.
Oh
it's the same faces every time. They're always happy, no matter what.
Most really of the weekends, the whole year is just planned out by which gigs they're going to go to.
I wish I was that organised.
Or had the money.
Well, actually, both put together, that'd be great.
I think they are an amazing bunch. Like they really are. And
I think that's kind of the way forward. Really, things like that, like a community like that. That's what you need to build upon that.
They're sort of the antithesis of a Dementor crowd.
Right. The opposite. Yeah.
I haven't had a Dementor crowd for quite some time, but I've had a lot of the HRH family ones and Wildfire people and other festivals, and they're just incredible people.
I was going to say that obviously we played Wildfire.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, you would.
We ended up headlining the main stage because
was it Friday?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Tim Owens wasn't there, so I did a bit of a swapping around, but. Yeah, I could see a lot of them at the front. Going mental. But it just got because another band. There was a bit of a clash. Where the other band was still playing when we started. Yeah, but it was like the first few rows were always full, and then when they finished, everyone else came in.
It's strange. You always notice it.
That happened to us.
Someone got a picture from the back. Yeah, everyone's got their hands in the air. I was just like,
same thing happened to us. Although we got the rain.
You were Sunday, weren't you?
Yeah. Which was fun. It was great though. Did you try them wood-fired pizzas that were there?
I did.
They were so good.
We were talking about food. I'm genuinely feeling hungry.
I'm going for food when we finish. How long have we been going? 2 hours. Oh, it's gone by just like that. That's why I like.
That's podcasts. What it is. We need to start a chat show.
Yeah. Well, that's why I started this podcast, just because I never get to talk to
Yeah.
my fellow
Because
musicians.
at gigs,
or-
it was always like, "Hi, Mark."
Hiya.
Yeah. If
yeah,
if
well,
at
I'm
your
running
gig
through
or
my
if it's
gear.
at
Yeah,
our gig,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
like you get pleasantries, and then one of
Yeah.
you's just got to go,
Yeah,
loud
'cause-
music,
yeah.
you can't hear what they're saying.
Yeah, because
Even like you've got to go and stand at the merch stand, and that's kind of the job for the night.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you got to spend 2 hours or 4 hours in a car somewhere or
Yeah, that's
whatever
true.
it might be.
Well, there's the other thing about what can you do to stand out from the crowd. This is something I thought we could do to
Mm.
Yeah.
not just for that, but also to like
Oh, yeah.
have other bands on who I like.
And then strange folk like me.
What are we doing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You've got to pay money.
All right, was that what you're asking for outside? You know what the payment is? I'm going to become a tech with yourself now. That's going to be. Yeah.
Nice.
I'm going to be the roadie.
Yeah, where's the donations?
I
We
feed you in cakes. Remember?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're starting. I'm going to start a donations pot with you for like trusted roadies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have
I'm sorry, Mark. I'm
actually-
already fighting the system. It's fine.
If it's croissants, I might be interested. Oh no.
This roadie was only given 1 beer for his services. Please help a roadie today.
And he may one day be able to quit his job. Like
Depends
you.
what that beer is. If it's a pint of Guinness, that'll sort you out for the rest of the day.
That was Callum.
He's getting good though. He knows how the guitar set up. He
Yeah.
knows all the stage stuff. It's-
Guitarists have
Has he
10
figured out
pounds.
homage yet?
Yeah.
Oh,
He's quite knowledgeable.
Impedance is one of those things that really fucks up a lot of
I'm
people.
learning drums at the minute. I mean, I'm a guitarist, but I'm learning drums. I'm like, Steve, what's this? It's like, it's a drum. Good.
It's very technical, isn't it?
I always find it funny in bands where the singer just sings, doesn't play an
Yeah.
instrument, because
Oh,
he's like, I'm done, I'm ready to go. Same
Oh
when
yeah,
he
the
packs
rest
up,
of the band's still here.
right?
Yeah.
But sometimes they become the drum tech or a guitar tech.
I
Like, just
really
help them
better
all.
not say that because just in case I end up ditching the guitar, it's like I'm going to be the idiot front man up on front.
But yeah,
Well, I'm halfway there, just not the front man yet.
I love all the different bits of gear, you know that. I love
Yeah.
figuring out the sounds from different bits of
I
gear.
don't like packing them away and loading them in and out.
If you
I
could
don't
get
like
somebody
that.
else to do that, I
Don't
think
mind
that
saying-
would be a
Well, I'm
lot
working
better.
on
Yeah.
it.
I don't mind setting up
Slave labour right there for you.
packing down and then de-rigging at home. That's the worst bit.
Yeah,
I don't mind setting up. Setting up's cool, and you can get your sound right and all that kind of jazz.
just to have a permanent rehearsal space where
Mm.
you just leave all your stuff.
And you don't need to
It's
have
secure
anything.
and safe,
Yeah.
and you just literally pick your guitar up, plug it in, and you're away. That would be.
Yeah, it'd be handy. I don't know, because
It made me want to do it more often.
Well, even
Yeah.
then though, you'd get temperature fluctuations in the room, and then that'll
Mm.
send your drums off a little bit. And
So
suppose I
we're
wouldn't
not
leave-
that
I
really
suppose I
bothered
wouldn't
though,
leave-
are we? We're
well,
just
no.
like, yeah, screw it, we'll plug in and play, it's fine.
Yeah.
I'm sorry for being very blunt and to the point, but yeah.
So I suppose we better wrap this bitch up. It's been 2 hours. I'm hungry. So
Cornish pasty time, mixed with croissant.
So if people want to look you up, have you got a Twitter?
I've just got Facebook and Instagram.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm genuinely not that well informed with Twitter. I've kind of forgotten my password and set up 3 accounts, and they've all kind of died. So if anybody does find it, be aware I'm not going
Okay.
to post anything.
You on Twitter?
yes, we're on Twitter.
What's
You know we're on Twitter. You followed us the other
No, I'm
day.
just trying to get out of you. I'm trying to get out of you.
I know.
Yes, we're on Twitter. We're on
I'm
Facebook.
also seeing if you know your own accounts.
Yeah, we're 13 stars _ UK1, I think.
Okay.
Or if
I'm
you
just
certainly-
Callum Glynn, and that's my personal profile.
There you go.
Yeah.
I'll find you.
You'll see an ugly mug of me wearing a hat with a guitar on stage.
Yeah.
We're definitely on
Have
Facebook.
you got a website?
Yeah, it's the old one. So I would really go with Facebook for the time
Okay.
being. That's probably the best way to keep in touch with us.
13 stars with the word 13, not the number.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And just if you just want to have a chat, send us a message. We can talk.
Cool. Well, this will probably, when this goes out, it'll be next month sometime. So you have to share it, because I'm sure your fans will be quite interested in this conversation.
Oh yeah, of course.
Cool.
Well, I don't know. They might not be, but
And folk that hate
They'll
me, I'm
probably
sure
be
will be. I've got more haters than lovers, it's fine.
they'll probably be interested in what you two guys are saying. They probably already heard me say it all before, so
They were probably hoping I was going to get a pie in the face. I'll be completely honest. There isn't any about it. Go! Oh, quickly, hide the chair.
There was a spare cake I found on that.
Oh, yeah.
How long's it been there for?
A month. It's like rock hard.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. This can only end well for me, I'm sure.
No, but part of the whole thing about the podcast is like, I suppose 13 Stars fans will never get to hear you, because in interviews you always get asked the same question, so you're always saying the same thing most of the time.
yeah, a lot of the
So
time,
this
yeah.
kind of conversation you don't normally get to hear.
Well, yeah, unless you come in the van with us.
Well, yeah.
I don't think that is actually will ever be allowed to be repeated. I would just like to point out having shared a van with you once.
Yeah, we do have lots of interesting discussions in the van.
Yeah, nothing that's like incredibly bad, but yeah, it's not for. Nah, I wouldn't
You can
put
tell
that
me
on
later.
audio.
We have all sorts of stuff.
Don't worry,
to
don't worry, I'll Skype you.
Save
It's
it for the
fine.
book.
For the memoirs of Hoss
Yeah,
Thompson. The Wonder Years.
Yeah.
Hoss Thompson, The Wonder Years.
Be the wilderness years, surely. God. Yeah.
Well, gentlemen, thanks for coming down.
Thank you for
this.
having
It's
us.
been an
Thank
awesome
you for inviting us.
conversation.
Very
Like
good.
I say, it's very rare that I get to talk to people for more than 5 minutes at a gig, so it's been a pleasure.
We've broken our record
You
now.
too,
It's been
man.
2
Yeah,
hours.
yeah. We'll have to. I'll get you back on again sometime, definitely.
Sorry, if you don't tell
When
me
you've
an
got
invite,
a new,
I understand why.
when you've got a new band, or when you guys have got something else to promote, maybe you can do a full band. Get the full band on.
That'd be cool, man.
Do they talk?
They do talk, yeah, yeah. They do. They did a really good interview in Ibiza, actually.
Were they drunk?
No, actually.
Oh, right.
Jackson was slightly hungover. In fact, no, yeah, they were all fairly hungover,
Yeah, okay.
except for me, because I took sleep-starvedness to the utmost degree, and then was like, no, I'm not going out drinking. Fuck that.
It's all right. You're only in Ibiza. You're only in Ibiza, the like drinking capital of the world. It's fine.
Hey, my sleep's important to me. When you're reliant on a little muscle here, you've got to have a good night's sleep.
It's fine. Back in tracks work. It's fine.
Sleep and water. That's what you need, isn't it?
Sleep.
Prime example right there of why you need water.
Yes. Absolutely. Sleep and water. Yep. And coffee and croissants.
and cigarettes as well. That really helps.
Yeah.
Cough medicine.
No, I don't drink before I play. No, that's bad.
Right. Cheers, guys.
Thank you
Thank
very
you
much.
Pleasure.
Been a pleasure. Thank you.
Right.
2 hours and then right at the end.